What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 11WF Chapter 333. At this time, one of the researchers stood up and asked Xuan Che with a sneer. Master Xuan Che, I would like to ask you, are you really sure that the toxins in your body have been cleaned up? Hearing what the researcher said, Xuan Che was stunned for a moment, with a look of confusion on his face. He whispered to himself. Yes, it seems to have been discovered, but what can be done? Can you still kill me? Of course it can kill you. The researcher's voice suddenly became gloomy and terrifying, and a black mist emerged from the researcher's body, instantly enveloping him. Xuan Che felt the horror of the black air, and suddenly panicked, his face pale. But Xuan Che also knew that he could never shrink back at this time, so he immediately ran the only chakra in his body, rushing towards the black chi, and wanted to use the only chakra left in his body to fight against it. Boom! The chakra inside Xuan Che collided with the black gas and exploded immediately. Xuan Che only felt like he had been hit hard on his chest, and a sharp pain came from his chest. Xuan Che couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Seeing this scene, everyone's faces showed surprised expressions, and even a strong man like Xuan Che would be defeated. However, in this way, the researcher of the dark forces should not be able to sing. Xuan Che couldn't help but look up. I saw that researcher was standing opposite him. You? Xuan Che widened his eyes. His eyes were full of disbelief. He didn't expect that he would lose to the opponent. It's incredible. Advertisement. At this time, the dean of the research institute walked out of the room and said to the researcher of the dark forces. What do you mean? Do you want to break the rules? Haha, I'm just experimenting. I didn't expect to kill this kid. The black-clothed man shook his head and smiled and said, my experiment is a complete success. I hope you can continue to provide me with good experiment materials in the future. I promise that the next experiment will be successful. The anger on the dean's face was even worse. He roared and punched out, knocking the man in black into the air, falling heavily on the wall, and smashing the wall out of a deep pit. Master Dean, let me resolve this matter. The black-clothed man wiped the bloodline from the corner of his mouth and said with a gloomy expression. No, if you fail again this time, your experiment will fail completely. Do you know? If you fail this time, then your entire experiment has failed. Do you know? The dean roared. After hearing the dean's words, the researcher's face changed slightly, but he quickly returned to its original state. He snorted and said, I am just a test product. If it fails, it is normal. If it fails, then it is your fault. Don't shirk the responsibility on me. You. The dean stared at the researcher angrily. What, do you still want to teach me? I'm not scared. If you want to do it, then just wait to bear all the consequences. The researcher snorted coldly. Well, if you are so stubborn, then I can't help it. However, I warn you that no matter what you do, I will catch you back, and then you will wait to be punished. Upon hearing this, the researcher gave a cold snort. Your dean is getting more and more incompetent. No matter who you are, as long as you violate the rules, you will be punished. Seeing that the other party was so stubborn, the dean felt annoyed in his heart. He gritted his teeth and prepared to give a severe lesson to this unconscious researcher. Master Dean, please don't take action. I am willing to bear all guilt. At this time, a young man walked out of the academy, stopped the dean, and said to the dean. When the dean saw the young man blocking him, he was stunned. He looked at the young man's face, and for a moment he didn't know how to scold the young man. Xuan Che. After seeing the young man who stopped him, the dean exclaimed. How could you run out? This person is not something you can easily provoke. If you anger him and he wants you to die, that's easy. Advertisement. Don't worry, Dean, I have seen everything here. I am not afraid of him. I am here to prevent this experiment from failing. Xuan Che said indifferently. You. Are you Xuan Che? Hearing Xuan Che's words, the dean's eyes widened in astonishment. Yes, I'm Xuan Che. Who are you that you know me? Xuan Che looked at the dean and said blankly. When the dean heard Xuan Che's words, he suddenly laughed bitterly. It seemed that he really recognized the wrong person. Just now, Xuan wanted to teach this researcher a lesson. He actually forgot about such a genius as Xuan Che. How could he know Xuan? What about Che? Master Xuan Che, don't get me wrong. I don't know you, but my sister who knows you. Her name is Lin Yuxin and she is a graduate student in our institute. The dean quickly explained to Xuan Che. Hearing the dean's words, Xuan Che's face was embarrassed. He scratched his head with embarrassment and said, that's the way it is. I thought the dean knew me just now. Master Xuan Che, I didn't expect to meet you here. I don't know why you came here today, the dean asked. Hearing the dean's question, Xuan Che thought for a while and then said, well, that's it, the people of our Xuanyan organization, because they were a bit contradictory with a researcher when they were outside, so I came to adjust. Oh, then you are so kind. After the dean heard Xuan Che's words, he was immediately happy. Hearing what the dean said, Xuan Che smiled and said, you are welcome. This is what I should do as a junior. Dean, this time I am here, mainly to participate in a ceremony. But I feel a little uncomfortable now. I think you are also a medical expert. Can you help me see the disease? Master Xuan Che, of course I am willing to see a doctor for you, but you also know that I am a doctor and don't understand your techniques, so I don't know if I need to cooperate? Hearing what Xuan Che said, the dean quickly asked. Xuan Che thought for a while and then said, come on, I'll leave him to you to deal with. I believe you will be able to heal him, right? Hearing Xuan Che's words, the dean immediately nodded. He looked at the researcher standing next to him and said to the researcher in a cold voice. You better pray that this is an advanced medical ninja, otherwise, I won't spare you. Chapter 334. Upon hearing the dean's words, the researcher snorted coldly, turned and left without saying a word. Looking at the back of the researcher leaving, the dean sighed. He shook his head, then turned to look at Xuan Che, and said, Master Xuan Che, come first and rest. Okay, Dean, then I'm better off being respectful. Xuan Che smiled slightly, followed behind the dean and entered the dean's office, sitting on the sofa, drinking tea on the table, and waiting for the dean to check his body. The dean took out the silver needle and began to stick the silver needle on Xuan Che's body. After a while, the dean stopped the movement in his hand and put his hand back. When Xuan Che saw the dean retracted his hand, he couldn't wait to ask, Master Dean, how is my body and is there any injury? The dean shook his head and said with a serious face, Master Xuan Che, although your ninjutsu is very powerful, and you have twice the speed and explosive power of ordinary ninjas, your actual combat experience is very scarce. If you can't improve it as soon as possible, if you have your own cultivation level, sooner or later, you will be overtaken by other people. If you are caught up by others, then you will be in an extremely dangerous situation. At that time, no one can save you. Hearing the dean's words, Xuan Che showed a solemn look on his face. He said, Of course I know this. I only hope to improve my level as soon as possible. Well, you are so smart, you should be able to guess. Let me find your purpose. Of course I can guess. I heard that the research institute is developing a drug, and I happen to be interested in this thing, so I came to have a look. Xuan Che nodded and said. Advertisement. Upon hearing this, the dean showed an excited expression on his face. He said, Master Xuan Che is really a hardy person. In that case, I will tell you straightforwardly, your friend is a researcher on our project, and he is responsible for this project. The dean pointed to the researcher who was lying on the ground in a coma and said. Xuan Che followed the dean's sight and found the researcher lying unconscious on the ground. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Unexpectedly, this person turned out to be Lin Yuxin, which filled his heart with doubts, because in his opinion, Lin Yuxin does not look like a researcher. Is he the one researching this project? Xuan Che asked in surprise. Yes, our project is the top secret of our researchers. The identities of our researchers are kept secret. No one knows the existence of this project except our scientists and research staff. Our technology has developed up to now. The bottleneck period has been reached, so this project has very high requirements for the strength of the researchers and requires very harsh conditions. Our researchers have been missing for many years, so our research results can no longer be promoted. However, this researcher suddenly appeared in front of us a few years ago and brought us huge benefits. He not only provided a complete system, but also helped us research new weapons and armored vehicles. Therefore, we must catch this researcher and bring him back to China. The dean told Xuan Che all the situation and said all the thoughts in his heart. Hearing what the dean said, Xuan Che nodded and said, I understand what you think, but you don't have to worry. Although your technology is very outdated, your project is worthy of our Xuan family's investment. Arrange for me to meet Lin Yuxin first. The dean hesitated when he heard the words, and then said to Xuan Che, Master Xuan Che, I would like to ask you to wait a while because he is sleeping now. After he wakes up, I will take you to find him again. Xuan Che nodded. He looked at the dean and said, Master Dean, then, now we can go to Lin Yuxin. Don't know if I can go to Lin Yuxin now? Hearing Xuan Che's words, the dean nodded and said, Of course it is possible, but Lin Yuxin is still in a coma, so you have to wait until he wakes up before you can see him. Okay, then I'll be here waiting for him to wake up. Xuan Che nodded, then sat on the sofa, closed his eyes, and recharged. The dean was relieved when he saw Xuan Che like this. He knew that Xuan Che must be displeased because he didn't let Xuan Che see Lin Yuxin. He couldn't help cursing his mouthiness secretly. The dean went to the door and planned to order the nurse to prepare a ward, give Xuan Che a rest, and then prepare the food that Xuan Che needs, so that Xuan Che would not be hungry. Zero ask for flowers advertisement. After Xuan Che closed his eyes on the sofa for a while, he heard a knock on the door. Xuan Che opened his eyes and looked outside and found a nurse standing outside the door. His face was exposed. With a look of doubt, he said, Miss Nurse, is there anything? Oh, Master Xuan Che, it's like this. The dean just asked me to prepare some light meals for you. You should eat a little first, and then visit Mr. Lin Yuxin. Okay, the nurse said with a smile. Zero. Xuan Che heard the words, nodded, and said, Then I will trouble you. Master Xuan Che need not be so polite, then I will go out now. The nurse nodded politely, and then walked out. After about half an hour, the nurse walked in with 2 dishes. She smiled and said to Xuan Che, Master Xuan Che, these are our dean specially asked the chef to cook according to your requirements. They taste very good, you can try it. Is there anything you are not used to? When Xuan Che heard the words, he smiled and said, Although these things are not too delicious, they are more nutritious. I think these things are pretty good. Yes, Master Xuan Che likes it. Xuan Che nodded, then lowered his head, seriously tasting the dishes. Although the dishes are not very delicious, they are indeed nutritious, so Xuan Che did not find it too unpalatable. On the contrary, it felt very good. Seeing that Xuan Che had almost eaten the dishes, the dean smiled and said, Master Xuan Che, I think you will rest here tonight. I will send someone to arrange for someone to send you upstairs. You will take a break first, and then wait for our researchers to get useful information from Lin Yuxin's mind before you talk to him. Hearing this, Xuan Che nodded lightly, then put the chopsticks in his hand in the cutlery box, stood up, and said to the dean, Okay, Master Dean, I see, NS. Chapter 335. The Dean nodded and said, then you go up now, Xuan Che agreed and walked towards the stairs. After the Dean sent Xuan Che to the top of the stairs, he turned and returned to the room. Xuan Che came upstairs, walked to the door of Lin Yushin's ward, raised his hand and knocked on the door. Get in. Lin Yushin's voice came from Lin Yushin's room. Xuan Che heard Lin Yushin's words and opened the door and walked in. Master Xuan Che, why are you here? Sit down and rest for a while. Lin Yushin looked at Xuan Che and said with a smile. Xuan Che heard the words, nodded, walked to the chair beside Lin Yushin and sat down. Looking at Lin Yushin sitting on the bedside, Xuan Che smiled and said, Dr. Lin, I'm here to talk to you about your research project. Oh, that's it? Do you have anything you want to say to me? Lin Yushin said with a smile after hearing the words. Xuan Che nodded. He looked at Lin Yushin and then slowly said, I want to know how your researcher's project is going. I hope to solve this problem soon. I'm still waiting for Dr. Lin's research results. Woolen cloth. What you said is correct, what you said is really important, but you also know that our project is still in progress and cannot be done in a short time, so I hope you can wait patiently for a few days. After all, our research staff will need a few more days. I believe they can successfully treat your body well, so that we can finish our work early and take the researcher's exam, Lin Yushin said with a smile. Advertisement in this case, I will wait a few more days. Xuan Che nodded and said, I believe our researchers will be able to complete the task within 3 to 5 days. Master Xuan Che, our scientific researchers are among the elite, so their efficiency will certainly not let us down. Don't worry too much, Lin Yushin comforted Xuan Che. After hearing Lin Yushin's words, Xuan Che didn't say much, just smiled faintly, and then said, okay, it's not too early, I'll go back first. If there is anything, you can call and tell me. Thank you Master Xuan Che, Lin Yushin said gratefully. You're welcome. Xuan Che waved his hand and said, take a good rest, I'm going back. Well, yes, Master Xuan Che. Lin Yushin nodded. After Lin Yushin watched Xuan Che leave, the expression on her face suddenly became serious. She looked outside the window. At this time, the night had fallen, and the moonlight was shining on the windowsill, illuminating the whole city. Lin Yushin stretched out and checked the time. It was already 12 o'clock in the evening. It has been a full week since they were exposed to the project. During this period of time, their progress has been very rapid, and they have basically completed the project. All the required materials have been collected. In the remaining time, as long as Lin Yushin's researchers can complete the final design plan, they can successfully conquer this project. This project is the highest research by their researchers. If they can win, their researchers will be greatly rewarded. Thinking of this, Lin Yushin couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief, then lay on the bed and fell asleep deeply. Early the next morning, Xuan Che and his assistant came to the room where Lin Yushin was. After looking at Lin Yushin, they spoke out their thoughts. Hearing the assistant's words, Lin Yushin nodded, then looked at Xuan Che and said with a smile, Master Xuan Che, I agree. When will you leave? I asked the driver to prepare a car to see you off. Hearing what Lin Yushin said, Xuan Che said with a smile, thank you, Dr. Lin. Then you rest first, and we will come to you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. Be careful on the road. If you encounter danger, run away immediately. Lin Yushin nodded, reminding Xuan Che. Advertisement Xuan Che nodded and said, looking at the back of Xuan Che leaving, Lin Yushin couldn't help but smile. Although Xuan Che was young, he respected himself very much and was very careful. Unlike other dudes, Lin Yushin didn't put her at all. In her eyes, she was quite satisfied with Xuan Che, the dude. Seeing Xuan Che's leaving behind, Lin Yushin suddenly remembered the boy yesterday. She didn't know why, she felt a strong sense of guilt inexplicably. She knew what the guilt came from, because the boy saved her. But she didn't know how to repay her. After all, he had no friendship with him, but he saved her and made her feel very uncomfortable. If it weren't for him, maybe she would not be kidnapped. Even more will not encounter Xuan Che. Thinking of this, Lin Yushin sighed secretly. After Xuan Che left the hospital, he immediately drove to a restaurant, followed by 2 bodyguards. Xuan Che came to the restaurant, found a place to sit down, and after ordering a few meals, he waited. After Lin Yushin and Xuan Che's 2 assistants had reached the dining table and sat down, Xuan Che looked at them and asked faintly, how is it? Is Dr. Lin awake? How is his body recovered? Lin Yushin looked at Xuan Che, shook her head, and said apologetically, Master Xuan Che, I have performed a detailed examination on Dr. Lin, and Dr. Lin's physical condition is fairly good, but his mental state seems to be a little sluggish. Moreover, Dr. Lin's body is still declining. Our researchers are working hard to help drive Lin adjust his own state. However, Dr. Lin's mental state has never been restored to the best state. If this continues, I'm afraid Lin the doctor's spirit will be stimulated, causing more serious damage to the body. If something really goes wrong, I will not be able to explain to Mr. Lin. Lin Yushin turned his eyes to Xuan Che while talking, watching Lin Yushin's serious look. Xuan Che couldn't help feeling a bit bitter in his heart. His lips moved and he wanted to speak, but his throat as if blocked by something, nothing could be said. Seeing Xuan Che's reaction, Lin Yushin sighed softly and said, Master Xuan Che, we have done our best now, but our researcher is not a panacea, so don't worry, I believe. Dr. Lin G people have their own natural conditions, and they will be fine. Hearing Lin Yushin's words, Xuan Che nodded, smiled, and said, "Well, I know, I won't blame you. I only hope that I can conquer the project as soon as possible. Dr. Lin, I hope you can understand my feelings." "Oh, I understand, I understand." Lin Yushin smiled slightly and said, "Since the matter has been discussed, I will send you back. Our researchers will be able to get the final design drawings of the project tonight. You can just follow the original design drawings. The method described above is to draw out the design drawings as soon as possible, and then test them in a surrounding area. If possible, you can send someone over immediately to make all the design drawings before we enter the actual operation stage." Chapter 336. Although Xuan Che and Xuanyan Village are in a hostile state, Xuan Che feels right about the scientific research project in Xuanyan Village. Therefore, Xuan Che decides to help Xuanyan Village complete the scientific research project. He swears as a ninja, once this after the project is successful, it will definitely benefit the entire ninja world. And Xuan Che also knew that he was no longer suitable to stay here, because this time people from Ninzong came to attack him. Xuan Che was not surprised, because he had guessed that some people from Ninzong would come to the door. It's just that Xuan Che didn't expect to come so quickly. Although Xuan Che's strength is very strong, he does not think he has the ability to withstand the attacks of Ninzong people. After all, Xuan Che doesn't know the Ninzong people, and he doesn't even know what their names are, so Xuan Che must run away, or just wait for death. Xuan Che ran away because he knew that staying was in vain, so Xuan Che had to leave, but before leaving, he also took away his subordinates. These people were eating with him. Xuan Che absolutely does not allow it. These men died, even if Xuan Che knew that he was not an opponent of these people at all. These Nin sect people did not know that there was a person Xuan Che in this world, so they did not track Xuan Che at all, but after they left, Xuan Che returned to Xuanyan Village. After Xuan Che entered Xuanyan Village, he went directly to the village chief's room. When he came to the village chief's room, he saw that the people of Xuanyan Village were all surrounded and seemed to be discussing something important. Xuan Che couldn't help being curious, what can make them gather like this? "Xuan Che, you are finally back. Where have you been during this time? Why is there no news at all? Don't you know that the patriarch and several elders are holding a meeting to discuss things about the ninja sect? What are you doing?" An elder looked at Xuan Che and asked. "Yes, Xuan Che, we are all worried about you." The other elder also echoed. "Don't worry, the patriarch and several elders are discussing how to fight Ninzong. I have already returned, and the patriarch is looking for me. Don't worry, listen to me slowly," Xuan Che explained to everyone. "Oh, yes, yes." Everyone nodded, expressing understanding. "In fact, I don't hide it from everyone. After I left Xuanyan Village, I met a group of people from the ninja sect. Although my strength is higher than these ninja sects, but there are too many people in these ninja sects, and my men were killed by them. I had no choice but to escape, but when I was escaping, unfortunately, I ran into a woman named Aoba. The woman not only saved me, but also taught me many things, so this time I was safe and sound." Back. Xuan Che said in detail to everyone, "Advertisement. What? You unexpectedly met Aoba? I didn't expect that you would meet this mysterious character. Who is this Aoba? Why haven't I met her? Has she already left the ninja sect, so she didn't participate in this clan gathering?" Everyone was very curious about this Xingye. Aoba is a very young girl with a very ordinary appearance and a simple dress. She left after she saved me. When she left, she told me that if I was in trouble, I would come to her. And not long after I returned from ninja sect, the patriarch asked me to come back to participate in this clan meeting, because this matter is related to a major event in our Xuanyan village, so I didn't dare to neglect. I see. Aoba is a pretty good girl. She has reached this level at a young age, it's hard to imagine. I've met Aoba a few times, she is indeed very beautiful, but this time the clan of Xuanyan village will be related to the future of Xuanyan village. She has a good cultivation aptitude, but she doesn't know whether her mental capacity can bear it. Do you live under pressure? Hey, maybe Aoba has a strong heart. After all, Aoba has reached this level. As long as she is given time, Aoba's strength should go further? I also hope that Aoba can become stronger, but the patriarch said that Aoba is not as simple as it seems. This is, if the girl Qingye is really an ordinary girl, I am afraid that forces like Xuanyan village will not be willing to hand over such important matters as the clan association to such a girl. This girl should have a very deep background. Well, I think so too. Advertisement. The patriarch's words made everyone have to look at Aoba with a little admiration. After all, the patriarch said so, and Aoba's background is definitely not simple. Xuan Che, is there anything that needs to be prepared for this clan association? Or is there anything we need to prepare? The patriarch looked at Xuan Che and asked. None of these, patriarch. I came back this time to prepare some medicines and some ingredients for you, because the clan is now facing the problem of producing food, and now in the war period, food and grass are very scarce, so I thought get some food for you as soon as possible. Xuan Che looked at the patriarch and said, Well, Xuan Che, you made a lot of credit this time. I am very satisfied with the patriarch. You found a way to make money for our Xuanyan village so quickly, and the clan will remember your kindness. The patriarch nodded to Xuan Che and said. Xuan Che also laughed, because he felt that his efforts were not in vain. He contributed his own strength to the development of Xuanyan village, and he also fought for himself a generous reward, because his reward will be it is the guarantee that Xuanyan village can continue to grow. Xuan Che stayed in Xuanyan village for about half a month. Every 2 or 3 days, he sent some pills to the patriarch, and then went to purchase some vegetables and some medicinal materials, because Xuanyan village could not provide medicinal materials. He can only buy it outside. The price of this outside purchase is very expensive, but Xuan Che has no other way. He can't use the money to change the medicine, right? This is obviously unrealistic. There are only some spiritual stones in his storage ring, which is not enough to exchange for medicinal materials. Patriarch, I collected these from outside. Patriarch, do you think you need some food? Xuan Che put the food he had collected on the table and asked the clan chief of Xuanyan village. The patriarch of Xuanyan village was a 60-year-old man. He looked at the things on the table with his eyes gleaming. He was a greedy person. After seeing these things, he wanted to eat them right away. However, he knew that this place was not an ordinary place. It was the ancestral land of Xuanyan village. No one was allowed to eat freely in their territory, especially if these things were obtained from outside, the patriarch of Xuanyan village. Don't eat these things indiscriminately. Chapter 337 Xuan Che, you are a talented person in the clan. These are all things that should be done. Now that you have returned, you will be responsible for these things in the future. The patriarch of Xuanyan village looked at Xuan Che and said. Okay, I get it. Xuan Che nodded. He very much agrees with the patriarch's decision to do this, because doing so is good for Xuanyan village, and it is also a kind of protection. After all, he went out this time and spent more than 100,000 caddies on food. The clansmen knew that this 100,000 caddies of food was hunted and killed in Xuanyan village for a long time. Xuan Che, I'm a little tired, so I will go to rest first and leave the rest to you. When the patriarch finished speaking, he turned and walked towards the room. Well, patriarch, I see. Xuan Che nodded and said. After the patriarch of Xuanyan village left, everyone couldn't help sighing because they didn't expect the patriarch to retreat so quickly, which was also a good thing for them. Brother, what should we do now? This Aoba's strength has reached a peak level. Xuan Che watched the patriarch of Xuanyan village leave Xuanyan village and asked Xuan Che. Although Aoba's strength has reached a peak level, the formation of Xuanyan village is not a normal formation, but a very powerful formation. As long as there is enough chakra support, the power of this formation can be exerted. By ultimate, Aoba's current strength is absolutely impossible to break the formation, so I am sure I can win this clan meeting. Xuan Che said confidently. Xuan Che nodded when he heard the words. He knew that the patriarch of Xuanyan village was a very ambitious person. Since he has achieved such great results, he definitely wants to make persistent efforts, and he is also very clear about the situation in Xuanyan village. Although Xuanyan village had the upper hand on the battlefield, he was also very clear that before the battle, Xuanyan village had no advantage at all, not even a slight advantage. Xuanyan village was able to gain the upper hand because of the leadership of the patriarch, but this time the patriarch was also a bit tired, and they had no support, so the patriarch must also find a strong backing. Xuan the patriarch of Yinkun village is now looking for allies who can help him seize the position of patriarch. The patriarch of Xuanyan village is naturally looking for the strongest ally in Xuanyan village. This is also the main reason why the patriarch of Xuanyan village chooses Xuan Che. Brother, I have a sentence to ask the patriarch. I wonder if you can answer for the patriarch? At this time, Xuan Che suddenly thought of something and looked at Xuan Che and asked. You say it. No matter what you ask me, I will answer you. Don't worry. Xuan Che took a look and spoke very solemnly. Advertisement patriarch, I want to ask the patriarch, why is the patriarch so eager to let you marry Miss Qingye? It stands to reason that there is no way for Miss Qingye to enter Xuanyan village because of her strength, and the patriarch also knows that Miss Qingye has no background. Why does the patriarch ask you to marry her? Xuan Che looked at the patriarch of Xuanyan village and asked suspiciously. After hearing Xuan Che's question, the patriarch of Xuanyan village was silent for a moment. He didn't answer directly, but watched Xuan Che slowly and said, You don't need to ask about this matter, I will naturally tell you. Now that the patriarch said so, I won't ask more. Xuan Che nodded and did not continue to question. Okay, this is the end of this matter. What should you do? Let Miss Qingye stay here, Xuan Che, go and arrange a place for her. The patriarch waved his hand and said. After the people of Xuanyan village left, the patriarch of Xuanyan village stood up, walked to a stone bed and sat down, staring at the stone bed in a daze, not knowing what he was thinking. What's wrong with you? Seeing this scene, Xuan Che couldn't help but ask in confusion. I was wondering, if I was not so impulsive to take people to escape back then, would the Xuanyan village today be much better than it is now? The patriarch of Xuanyan village sighed, looked at Xuan Che and said. I don't know this, but in any case, Xuanyan village has become a very powerful family, and the patriarch, don't you live very well now? Moreover, it is already a very happy thing to be able to get the position of the patriarch, so don't think too much about it. Xuan Che looked at the patriarch and shook his head and said. Alas, the patriarch sighed, then closed his eyes. After Qinglin and his party returned to Xuanyan village, they were taken to a new residence by the tribe. The place in Xuanyan village is very remote, and there is nothing but a small hill around, so Qinglin and others can only live in the new building complex of Xuanyan village. Not long after Qinglin and his party moved into the new building complex, a group of people came to the door of the new building. These people are all wearing black clothes, holding various weapons, and looking at the new building aggressively, with a fierce look. After people see it, they can't help but feel a sense of fear in their hearts. You little bunnies, get out and die. A tall and fat man, holding a giant axe, looked at the new building and shouted. Advertisement where did the bears dare to come here to run wild, right? At this time, a voice came out. Who is, there is a kind of you come out, you are a tortoise with a shrunken head, hiding in there and dare not come out, you are a hero, come out if you have the ability, and stand alone with your grandpa. When the man heard the sound, his face suddenly changed, and he was very angry, yelling loudly. You are looking for flu, even daring to yell, you really are not afraid of death, come here, give me a severe lesson to these people. Another man sneered at these people in front of him, and ordered loudly. Yes. Upon hearing the man's order, a young man strode forward immediately. Dare you, of the money. Seeing all this in front of him, the tall and strong man suddenly changed his face and shouted loudly. The man's shout did not stop the young man, but made the young man even more excited. Haha, I just want to die, what can you do with me? The young man laughed and looked at the people in front of him with a mocking expression on his face. The words of the young man made these people furious. Give it to me, give me these little bunnies who don't know the heights and heights of the earth, and I want to see what this woman looks like, and can make the patriarch so important. Seeing the appearance of the young man, the faces of these people were suddenly full of anger and roared loudly. Kill. Hearing the leading man yelled loudly, the rest of the people also yelled loudly. Chapter 338. Boom. The young man yelled and hit the man's chest with a fist. The man saw the young man's fist bombarding him and hurriedly waved the axe in his hand to block it. Both attacks were a killing trick. The man's axe hadn't hit the young man's fist before he was thrown into the air. Although the young man's fist strength was not great, it contained extremely terrifying power. The attack of this fist directly injured the man, and his mouth also overflowed with a ray of blood. Puff. The man fell directly to the ground. The look on his face became very ugly, and he covered his chest with one hand. Xuan Che's figure appeared here, grabbing the young man's shoulder with one hand and lifting it from the ground. Is this the way of hospitality in Xuan village? The young man looked at Xuan Che. His face was full of contempt at Xuan Che. Brother, you are misunderstood. I am not from Xuan village, but from Konoha village. This is our private space. If you are here for the patriarch's wife, then sorry, the patriarch's wife is not here now. Xuan Che looked at the man and said lightly. What? Are you from Konoha village? Hearing Xuan Che's words, the young man couldn't help but was taken aback. His gaze at Xuan Che suddenly changed. Yes, I'm Xuan Che from Konoha Shinobi village. I don't know the name of this Shangtai Zun. Why should we trouble Xuan village? Xuan Che looked at the young man and said with a smile. The young man looked at Xuan Che carefully, and then turned his attention to Xuan Che's body. Are you from Konoha village? The man looked at Xuan Che and said in disbelief. Exactly, I don't know this brother, what is it with you? I don't think there should be any deep hatred between us. Xuan Che looked at the young man in front of him and said, and at the same time stretched out his right hand to him, making a gesture of asking. Advertisement. I don't know if you are from Konoha village. I only know that you have robbed the patriarch's wife of Xuan village. I can't easily forgive you. The young man looked at Xuan Che and said with a cold face. Oh, so what did our Xuan village do to make this brother hate our Xuan village so much? What did our Xuan village do to make this brother hate us so much? Xuan Che looked at the young man in front of him with a cold face and asked loudly. Humph, don't pretend to be garlic. Where did you hide the patriarch's wife in Xuan village? The man looked at Xuan Che and roared loudly. What are you talking nonsense? Our patriarch's wife has been missing for many days. How could our Xuan village hide her? Xuan Che looked at the man and frowned. HMPH, I know you don't admit it, but we have searched the entire Xuan village and found no trace of the patriarch's wife. I guess you must have hidden the patriarch's wife. The man looked at Xuan Che and snorted coldly, with a cold expression in his eyes. So many people in Xuan village have not seen Lu Yanner. He thinks that the people in Xuan village must have secretly hidden Lu Yanner, and Xuan village is also the leader of this time. They sure will help the patriarch's wife to hide all of them, so the man said this. Hearing the man's words, Xuan Che's face suddenly became very ugly. He never thought that this man would be so rude, and he actually accused the people of Xuan village in public. These people are simply too much. They dare to slander Xuan village. They're so bold. Presumptuous, you dare to insult our Xuan village. Don't deceive people too much. Xuan Che looked at the man in front of him, gritted his teeth and said, his eyes were full of anger and he looked extremely angry. Haha, I said you Xuan village, am I wrong? Xuan Che, you people in Xuan village are just a group of bandits. What else can you not dare to do when you snatch things from our village? What you did in Xuan village this time is really too much. You don't even let the people of Konoha village let it go. Do you still want to live? Do you think you can compete with our Konoha village? Your tribe is a group of beasts. Even if you kill more beasts, they will definitely not be as good as the people in Konoha village. The man looked at Xuan Che and said with a sneer. B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** words, his eyes flashed with cold light, and he gritted his teeth and looked at the man in front of him. What's the meaning? You robbed our patriarch's wife from Xuanyan village. I'm here to collect debts. The man looked at Xuan Che and said coldly. The people in Xuanyan village are a bunch of rubbish, and your patriarch is not a good guy. I'm here today to ask for justice. If you have any skills, come to me. The man looked at Xuan Che and said arrogantly. Since you don't understand the rules so much, I will take care of you in place of your patriarch. Xuan Che looked at the young man in front of him with a cold snort. Advertisement HMPH, relying on you. I can defeat you with one hand. The young man looked at Xuan Che and said disdainfully. Hearing the man's words, Xuan Che's disdain expression on his face became more and more intense. It was the first time he met such an arrogant person. He actually dared to talk to himself like this. It really took the courage of the bear's heart and the leopard. The first time he met such an arrogant person, he wanted to see what he was capable of. Yeah, then I want to see how much you can do. After Xuan Che finished speaking, he rushed directly at the young man, and hit the young man's stomach with a punch. Xuan Che shot without mercy and directly attacked the young man. The young man watched Xuan Che's attack, and a sneer smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, a look of disdain. Xuan Che looked at the young man's movements and shook his head with a sneer. He never thought that this young man was so powerful, his speed was amazing, and he was also good at using hidden weapons, and he was still a set of hidden weapons. With every set of hidden weapons, his strength is not weaker than his own. He really deserves to be a member of Xuan village. However, Xuan Che is not bad. When he practices the exercises, he attaches chakra to his fist. There was a loud bang, and the two fists slammed together. The figures of the two swayed a few times, and then they both stopped. The two confronted each other, and neither of them took the first shot. Both of them were waiting for the other to take the first shot, and then took the opportunity to take each other down. Both of them are waiting for the other to take the first shot. Bang Bang looked at each other and shot at the same time. Bang Bang Bang. The moment the two looked at each other, two fists slammed together again. At this moment, the bodies of both of them involuntarily stepped back. Xuan Che felt the severe pain from his fist, and his heart became even more angry. His fists were a bit sour. And the expression of the man on the opposite side was not much better. He only felt that his fists were hit by a car heavily. A violent attack made his arms feel numb. He felt this strength for the first time. Chapter 339. Xuan Che sneered at the young man. You guys in Xuan village are all scum. The young man refused to accept and began to perform ninjutsu on Xuan Che, only to see summoning technique. Xuan Che also performed summoning technique. The young man summoned the toad Wentai, and Xuan Che summoned a giant lizard. After seeing the toad Wentai summoned by the young man's summoning technique, Xuan Che judged the identity of the opponent, which was Jiraiya. But Jiraiya has not yet been called one of Sannin at this time. Jiraiya is just a small person at this time. Xuan Che ordered the huge lizard to launch an attack on Jiraiya. Although Jiraiya summoned the toad Wentai, he did not dare to resist. He was injured and seriously injured. He was also injured by Xuan Che. So he can only dodge. Toad Wentai rushed towards Jiraiya one by one. Jiraiya had to use her long sword to resist the attack of Toad Fumata. Bang Toad Wentai directly knocked Jiraiya out. Xuan Che also had a lot of methods, and naturally he was not to be outdone, and directly summoned his own monitor lizard. Jiraiya avoided the attack of Toad Fumata while avoiding the attack of lizards, but Xuan Che had already arrived in front of Jiraiya at this time. Boom! Jiraiya suffered a heavy blow again. His body was hit by the lizard, and he vomited blood directly. Jiraiya was also terrified at this time. He knew that these people in front of him were definitely not good, so he had to leave quickly. Jiraiya didn't dare to stay. He knew it would be really dangerous to stay here. Jiraiya ran away directly. Xuan Che and the lizard were chasing Jiraiya, and Xuan Che kept releasing fire style to the lizard along the way. Lizards were burned to death and burned a lot, but there are still many lizards chasing Jiraiya continuously behind Jiraiya. Jiraiya was in a hurry and had to choose to summon his mount. This was his only hope at the moment. Jiraiya took out his mount from the backpack, then got on the mount and hurried towards Jiraiya's hometown. Advertisement: the lizard chased Jiraiya, constantly jumping on the back of the lizard summoned by Xuan Che, and followed Jiraiya all the time. Xuan Che and the lizard were chasing Jiraiya. Xuan Che kept releasing fire style and didn't know how many mountains and villages were destroyed along the way. This action of Xuan Che annoyed the villagers in other villages. Damn it, stop now, and don't be presumptuous in our territory, shouted a village woman in tattered linen. A bearded villager also walked out of the room and looked at Xuan Che and the lizard. When the lizard heard the village woman's words, he sprayed venom directly. The venom of the lizard's breath directly sprayed the village woman and twitched her whole body. Xuan Che looked at the village woman and said, "If you don't want to die, it's best not to stop my actions." The village woman looked at Xuan Che, terrified in her heart. At this time, some people walked up to Xuan Che and accused Xuan Che of what he had done. Xuan Che simply ignored the verbal abuse from the crowd. He just continued to pursue Jiraiya. At this time, Xuan Che suddenly saw a carriage in front of him. He rushed to stop the carriage and asked the people in the carriage, "Do you know how to get to Konoha village?" The people in the carriage heard this and did not answer, but from their attitude, it can be seen that they are very disdainful and disgusted with Xuan Che. Xuan Che directly killed the opponent and then continued to chase Jiraiya. After a quarter of an hour, Xuan Che finally saw Jiraiya. "Damn, you are still alive." When Xuan Che saw Jiraiya safely arrived at Konoha village, he became angry. At this time, he summoned several dragons, which flew in the air to chase Jiraiya. Xuan Che wanted to catch Jiraiya, but at this time, there was a pain in his body. It turned out that he was bitten by a lizard. The lizard is not only a dragon, but also highly poisonous, so he is not immune. When the lizard saw that Xuan Che was poisoned, it began to devour Xuan Che. At this time, Xuan Che discovered that this lizard was not summoned by his summoning technique, but the toad Wen was changed with the transformation technique. Xuan Che knew that the lizard would definitely eat himself, but he could not get rid of the lizard. Xuan Che looked at the disappearing figure of Jiraiya, his teeth tickled with hatred. Jiraiya, you actually let me lose a mount. Xuan Che's mount lizard is a huge lizard. He has 3 claws and 3 pairs of feet, but because he is too big, he can only use his tail. A lizard has 3 pairs of sharp teeth, each of which is as thick as a sawtooth. Once bitten by it, it is fatal. Advertisement 0 Ask for flowers. The body of the lizard is made of hard rock, which is unusually strong, so Xuan Che has been helpless by its strength. Moreover, there are many poisonous spines on the lizard's mouth. Once bitten, it is terrible. Xuan Che knows the power of lizards, so he has been cautious, but today Jiraiya gave him a handful of shame. Ah! Xuan Che screamed in pain, and the lizard bit Xuan Che in half in one bite, and then swallowed it. The lizard's mouth is highly poisonous, but its toxicity is fatal to ordinary people and has no effect at all for people who have practiced ninjutsu, but for Xuan Che who has practiced ninjutsu, it is deadly. 0. At this time, Xuan Che's mind sounded a system prompt, and Xuan Che felt his head dizzy. The system prompts. Your health is reduced by 42%. Xuan Che knew that the system was punishing himself. Xuan Che hurriedly swallowed a pill to restore his health. Xuan Che continued to chase Jiraiya. Jiraiya was running ahead on his mount at this time. This lizard is very fast, but it can't get rid of Xuan Che's entanglement. Jiraiya looked at the distance between Xuan Che and himself and knew that he could not escape, but he still wanted to try it, so he rode a lizard all the way and ran towards Konoha village. Although the strength of the lizard is strong, but the speed is not comparable to Jiraiya's mount. Jiraiya drove his mount and galloped on the rugged mountain roads, extremely fast, and in a blink of an eye he reached the entrance of Konoha village. Xuan Che is also chasing Jiraiya. At this moment, a team of men and horses galloped from a distance. When they saw Jiraiya's figure, they rushed over immediately. Their bodies were so fast that they arrived in front of Jiraiya in the blink of an eye and surrounded him. Humph, you group of turtles, do you want to stop me? I advise you to get out, Jiraiya said arrogantly. When he saw these people, he wasn't afraid at all. He knew that the other party would just use himself in no way at all. When Xuan Che heard what Jiraiya said, he sneered and said, you are quite mad, then I will solve you first, NS. Chapter 340. After speaking, Xuan Che threw directly at Jiraiya. The other ninjas also rushed towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya also knew that he was not the opponent's opponent, so he directly retracted his mount into his pet pen, and then flew towards Konoha village. Upon seeing this, Xuan Che immediately summoned his giant python to chase after Jiraiya, while Xuan Che chased after Jiraiya himself. He wanted to bite a piece of meat on Jiraiya. At this moment, a white light flashed. Xuan Che's body stopped immediately. Xuan Che looked up. He unexpectedly found that he was sealed in ice again. Xuan Che was shocked. Did he just die in the hands of this human? Jiraiya was already far away at this time, but he could still see Xuan Che being frozen. Jiraiya looked at Xuan Che and felt very refreshed in his heart. Jiraiya knew in his heart that the reason why he could easily deal with Xuan Che was because this guy was so stupid and stupid. Jiraiya knows his current situation, and it will take him a while to relieve the pain in his body. As a result, Jiraiya immediately began to absorb the surrounding chakra and suck the surrounding chakra into his body. Xuan Che felt that the chakra around him became thinner and thinner, and he was very anxious in his heart. What should I do? Jiraiya, I don't have the power to attack you anymore. Xuan Che was very anxious in his heart. Looking at Jiraiya's disappearing figure, Xuan Che was very worried about whether Jiraiya's body could withstand his attack. Xuan Che can only pray that Jiraiya can escape the catastrophe smoothly. If he really can't escape, then Xuan Che can only admit it. Xuan Che is not reconciled. His plan has not been implemented successfully. He died before he got the flesh and blood of Jiraiya. Isn't it too wronged? You terrapins, I will definitely not let you go. Definitely not. I will definitely make you regret it. Xuan Che vowed secretly in his heart, but it didn't work. He couldn't catch up with Jiraiya at all. Advertisement. Jiraiya rode a lizard galloping on the mountain road. The speed of the lizard is very fast. He is much faster than Xuan Che. Jiraiya was secretly happy, thinking, I'm faster again. This time I must find a chance to kill this guy so that he will never be able to survive. Jiraiya's eyes were fierce and shuddering. Jiraiya is very happy now, because his goal is about to be achieved. And Xuan Che cursed Jiraiya secretly in his heart. After Jiraiya rode a lizard for a while, a black mist suddenly appeared behind him. This cloud of mist swiftly attacked him. Jiraiya sensed the black mist behind him, and his face couldn't help but change. He knew what the mist was. It was a poisonous mist, specifically to deal with the ninjas around him. I'm a stubborn horse. When Jiraiya saw the black poisonous fog behind him, he couldn't help but swear. Lousy was riding a lizard well. You dare to attack me? Are you really bored? As Jiraiya spoke, he stretched out his left hand and patted the poisonous mist directly behind him. Jiraiya slapped his left hand on the poisonous fog instantly collapsed, and his left hand disappeared. But Jiraiya's left hand disappeared, but his figure was still there and his left leg disappeared. Jiraiya looked at his right leg, and he secretly rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and didn't use his left hand directly, otherwise, his leg would definitely be corroded by the poisonous mist. Jiraiya saw that the poisonous fog disappeared behind him, so he looked behind him. Jiraiya saw the black poisonous mist behind him, and his eyes were full of anger. Apart from anger, he was more shocked. What's going on? Where is Jiraiya's left leg? How did it disappear? Damn, you be asterisk 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 D. I fought with you. Jiraiya roared angrily. Jiraiya's body quickly rushed towards Xuan Che. Xuan Che saw the sudden change of Jiraiya's form. He was frightened. He turned around and fled back. Seeing that Xuan Che wanted to escape, Jiraiya immediately resorted to Shunpo, teleported in front of Xuan Che, and then stretched out his left fist to hit Xuan Che. Xuan Che was unprepared and took a solid punch. Advertisement. Xuan Che's body immediately flew out several meters away. His face showed a painful expression. His face was pale, and the corners of his mouth kept overflowing with blood. The power of this punch is very powerful, directly hitting Xuan Che to vomit blood. Xuan Che felt that his ribs were broken and the meridians of his body were severely damaged. Damn it, damn it, damn it, Xuan Che shouted angrily, you despicable person, there is a way to single out with me, I want to fight you. Jiraiya heard Xuan Che's words and immediately laughed. Ha ha ha, Xuan Che, you are really a fool, fight with me, are you worthy? Xuan Che heard Jiraiya's ridicule, he was very dissatisfied in his heart, so Xuan Che stood up again. When Jiraiya saw Xuan Che's actions, his face suddenly sank. He knew that he had to cause Xuan Che some trouble, otherwise, Xuan Che would not stop. So Jiraiya rushed towards Xuan Che again. Jiraiya used Shunpo again. Xuan Che saw Jiraiya rushing towards him again, his face changed drastically and he turned around quickly. At this moment, Jiraiya's left hand suddenly grabbed Xuan Che's ankle and then pulled Xuan Che over. What? Xuan Che's scream sounded. Jiraiya directly threw Xuan Che to the ground. Jiraiya, you dare to throw me, I am at odds with you. Xuan Che's voice was full of resentment, and flames appeared in his eyes. Ha 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 ha. Ji Lai also laughed loudly. Xuan Che, who do you think you are? You are just a bug, which shallot are you? Xuan Che has a hideous expression on his face. He gritted his teeth and said to Jiraiya, you remember, I, Xuan Che, will definitely get revenge and will definitely get revenge. Seeing Xuan Che's appearance, Jiraiya couldn't help but think secretly in his heart. This Xuan Che is really a lunatic, he actually wants to avenge himself, it's so funny. After Xuan Che finished speaking, he struggled to get up from the ground. As he crawled, he shouted to his companions. Everyone, let's unite and kill this despicable person and kill this B asterisk 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 D. Hearing Xuan Che's words, the other ninjas nodded. It is good. Kill this B asterisk 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 D. The others agreed. Chapter 341. Snort. Since you want to die, don't blame me for being rude. Jiraiya gave a cold snort, then used Shunpo again, rushing towards the group of ninjas, and at the same time, a cloud of black mist gushed out of him. The black mist quickly enveloped the group of ninjas, and then enveloped the group of ninjas. The ninjas saw the black mist enveloping them, and they immediately began to resist. They desperately stabbed the black mist with their swords, hoping to cut through the black mist. Unfortunately, after the blades encountered the black mist, they were swallowed by the mist one after another. These blades touched the black mist, as if they were sucked in by the magnet, and quickly dissolved away. Although Xuan Che's ninjutsu is powerful, Xuan Che is not omnipotent, and his ninjutsu also costs chakra. Therefore, Xuan Che's use of this trick is also very difficult. Jiraiya saw that Xuan Che's ninjutsu did not seem to be as powerful as he imagined, so Jiraiya directly attacked Xuan Che. Boom! 09 Jiraiya hit Xuan Che's head with a punch, and his fist roared and made a whining sound, as if a train was roaring. Bang! Jiraiya's punch hit Xuan Che's chest directly. Xuan Che's chest was sunken directly, and the whole person flew out upside down. Xuan Che's body smashed into several trees before falling to the ground. Jiraiya saw Xuan Che fall on the ground, so he relentlessly continued to rush towards Xuan Che, preparing to attack Xuan Che again. Stop! Xuan Che shouted. He knew that Jiraiya would not let him off easily this time, so Xuan Che didn't care about his injuries and rushed towards Jiraiya again. He was ready to fight Jiraiya to the death. Boom! Jiraiya hit Xuan Che again this time, and Xuan Che flew out again. Jiraiya saw Xuan Che being beaten away again by herself. A sinister smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Advertisement. As soon as Xuan Che got up from the ground, Jiraiya flew towards Xuan Che again, and then gave Xuan Che another fatal attack. Xuan Che was beaten out by Jiraiya again. In this way, every time Xuan Che is beaten by Jiraiya, he has to fly out again. Moreover, every time Xuan Che flew out, he would spout a mouthful of blood. Obviously, he was already injured. Jiraiya saw that Xuan Che was badly hurt, and couldn't help but feel very happy. He continued to chase Xuan Che, and he was ready to give Xuan Che the final blow. At this moment, bursts of white mist suddenly emerged from Xuan Che's body, enveloping Xuan Che. Then, the white mist quickly condensed into a huge net. The net directly wrapped Jiraiya, and then, Jiraiya was completely wrapped in white mist. Jiraiya saw that he was surrounded by the white mist, so he couldn't help but yelled loudly. Xuan Che, you dare to use ninjutsu against me. I tell you, your ninjutsu doesn't work at all. I can definitely crack you of ninjutsu. Xuan Che listened to what Jiraiya said, and said disdainfully, HMPH, Jiraiya, you should worry about yourself first. Jiraiya frowned when he saw Xuan Che. He felt trapped by something around his body and couldn't move at all, which made him feel very uncomfortable in his heart. Jiraiya stopped talking nonsense. He directly displayed his chakra, trying to break free of the white mist, but the white mist was so tough that he couldn't break free at all. Xuan Che, what are you doing? Stop it as soon as possible, otherwise, you will die and look ugly. Jiraiya saw that Xuan Che had trapped himself, so he hurriedly shouted to Xuan Che. Xuan Che listened to Jiraiya's words and snorted coldly. HMPH, Jiraiya, if you beg for mercy now, there may be a way to survive, otherwise, you will only be left with a pair of rotten meat later. Although Xuan Che said so, his heart was very nervous. He knew the horror of Jiraiya's ninjutsu. His ninjutsu could kill many powerful masters, but Jiraiya possessed extremely horror. This is why Xuan Che fears Jiraiya. However, Xuan Che didn't mean to admit defeat. Jiraiya saw that Xuan Che didn't pay attention to him. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes, and then shouted at Xuan Che. Xuan Che, you traitor, I will definitely kill you. Xuan Che could not help laughing after hearing what Jiraiya said. Ha ha ha, Jiraiya, you should save the time. Today is your death date. Humph, Xuan Che, don't be mad. Do you really think I can't help you? Jiraiya snorted, then, he stretched out his right hand and patted Xuan Che fiercely. Advertisement. Jiraiya slapped his right hand out and hit Xuan Che's shoulder directly. Xuan Che felt the threat of Jiraiya's right hand. He immediately retreated to the back, but before he could withdraw far, Jiraiya attacked Xuan Che again, his right palm carrying a horrible chakra towards Xuan Che filmed it. Xuan Che saw Jiraiya attacking him, so he dodged again. Bang! Jiraiya's right palm directly hit the top of the tree behind Xuan Che, and the tree immediately broke in half. Xuan Che, you traitor, I will kill you myself. Jiraiya looked at the tree he just snapped off, he snorted, and then directly attacked Xuan Che. Jiraiya's right hand kept changing all kinds of movements. Every time he waved his right hand, he could make an explosion. His speed was very fast. Every time, an afterimage was drawn in the air, and then he just appeared beside Xuan Che. Although Xuan Che dodged in a timely manner, Jiraiya's attack was still very fierce. In this way, there were a lot of scars on Xuan Che's body again, all of which were made by Jiraiya. Xuan Che's injuries are getting worse, his face has turned pale, and the corners of his mouth are dripping with blood. Jiraiya saw Xuan Che's condition, and his mouth showed a sneer. At this moment, Jiraiya's eyes suddenly widened, and Xuan Che's body suddenly disappeared from the place. After Jiraiya saw Xuan Che disappear, he was stunned. Then, he looked around, but he couldn't find Xuan Che anymore. Xuan Che, the damn guy, escaped in stealth, he was too fast. Jiraiya saw that Xuan Che escaped. His heart was full of chagrin. He didn't expect Xuan Che to be so fast. He didn't even find Xuan Che escaped. Moreover, he couldn't move anymore. I can only watch Xuan Che escape from under his nose. After Xuan Che left, he went straight back to his cabin. As soon as Xuan Che entered the cabin, he immediately closed the door, and then sat cross-legged on the bed. At this time, Jiraiya was also standing outside Xuan Che's room, and he was about to start ninjutsu again. However, at this time, Xuan Che suddenly yelled at Jiraiya outside the door. Jiraiya, don't try to start ninjutsu again, because you can't start it at all. Chapter 342. Xuan Che's words were not heard by Jiraiya. Jiraiya ignored Xuan Che's words and launched ninjutsu. Xuan Che frowned when he saw Jiraiya rushing over. He didn't know what Jiraiya was in this situation. How did you do it? What happened to you? Why does your strength increase so fast? This is the question Jiraiya most wants to ask Xuan Che. This question has troubled him for a long time, but he has never got an answer. He just knows that Xuan Che is now much stronger than when he first met. He must figure out this problem, otherwise he will be confused forever. He has become accustomed to this feeling. He is used to solving problems with this method. Don't give up any opportunity. I don't know how to explain this matter to you, but something happened to me, and I also had some adventures, that's why my strength became stronger and stronger. In this competition, I will beat you. Xuan Che looked at Jiraiya and said, he didn't want to answer this question. Then I want to see how strong you are. Jiraiya said that he performed ninjutsu again. This time Xuan Che did not evade, but accepted the move head-on. This time Xuan Che was not as embarrassed as before, this time his face was very calm, as if he had expected it a long time ago. The corners of Xuan Che's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a faint smile. His eyes closed slightly and he was waiting. He is waiting for Jiraiya's attack. Come on, no need to hide and tuck, Jiraiya shouted at Xuan Che. He knows that Xuan Che's strength is far more than that on the surface. Although he has not seen Xuan Che's true strength, he knows that he will never lose to Xuan Che. Xuan Che didn't hesitate anymore and rushed directly to Xuan Che. His speed was much faster than before, but he still didn't reach the speed of Xuan Che. He was still a step slower. Xuan Che was only one step away from him. He stopped, and then turned around, his right fist hit Xuan Che's chest directly. Xuan Che did not dodge, but stretched out his left arm to block Xuan Che's fist. The fists of the two hit each other and made a huge noise. The surrounding airflow produced violent waves. A circle of naked eye ripples radiated toward the surroundings. The surrounding space was torn into cracks, as if to be broken. Drop in general. Advertisement. Both Xuan Che and Jiraiya stepped back, but Jiraiya was not injured and his left arm was intact, but Jiraiya felt a strong chakra from Jiraiya's arm into his body. Jiraiya knew that he had been tricked. He looked at his fist and then at Jiraiya's fist. It turned out that there were a few scars on Jiraiya's arm. This was a scar left by Jiraiya himself, and there were also a few scars on Jiraiya's fist. Looking at Xuan Che did not look surprised. Apparently, Xuan Che also guessed that Xuan Che was injured by his own chakra, and he didn't know what this chakra was. But he has to admit that this ninjutsu is indeed very powerful. Xuan Che's strength is much stronger than Jiraiya. If you change to another person, Xuan Che's ordinary attack will cause the opponent to be knocked out, but Jiraiya is not one of those ordinary objects. His physical fitness is relatively strong. Xuan Che's attack did not affect him much, but Xuan Che's chakra helped his defense to a certain extent, so when Xuan Che attacked Xuan Che, Jiraiya's right arm was shaken to a certain extent. That's why I got a little injury. Seeing Jiraiya's appearance, Jiraiya was stunned for a moment. He even forgot about this question. Xuan Che's strength was much higher than him. Not only Jiraiya, but even the ninja who watched the battle was a little surprised. I didn't expect Xuan Che to be so powerful. With this punch, he was confident that he could resist it and could cause him to suffer a certain degree of injury, but he could not do it. He felt that his right arm had been severely injured, and this injury made him very serious. It was difficult to recover, and his chakra was almost consumed. I don't believe that in this case, you can still resist my attack. Xuan Che looked at Jiraiya and said, he did not use chakra because he knew that Jiraiya would definitely use chakra. Xuan Che did not continue to attack Jiraiya, but stood there quietly. He didn't know when Jiraiya's ninjutsu would cool down, so he didn't dare to act rashly, but watched the changes. Since you can't stop my attack, why bother to waste your time? Jiraiya looked at Xuan Che and said, still with a slight smile on his face. Snort. That being the case, then I'm not welcome. Xuan Che said, rushing towards Jiraiya. Advertisement. Not to be outdone, Jiraiya rushed forward. The fists of the two collided fiercely again, the explosion sounded again, and their bodies ejected backward at the same time. The bodies of the two rolled 3 times on the ground, and then stopped. Jiraiya and Xuan Che's eyes met each other. The atmosphere between the two suddenly became tense. Both of them looked like they were ready to go, as if they were about to defeat each other with a single blow. Xuan Che looked at Jiraiya with a little horror in his heart. This man is able to withstand his full blow without being injured. How did his body develop? Is it really that terrible blood succession boundary? Xuan Che is thinking about this issue, but Jiraiya knows that Xuan Che must also be thinking about his own strength. Knowing that he must end the battle as soon as possible, Jiraiya quickly moved forward and rushed towards Xuan Che. Xuan Che was not afraid, and called towards Jiraiya. The figures of the two are constantly interlacing in the air, and the two figures are constantly moving. The money is good, but the figures of the two people look very similar. Both of them used various types of ninjutsu to fight Jiraiya together. Xuan Che kept flashing in the air, while Jiraiya kept chasing, but the speed of the two was very fast. After a while, they had already fought hundreds of moves, but the two still kept the best, good condition. The speed of the two is too fast, it looks like 2 phantom sticks. Not far away, a katana suddenly appeared in Jiraiya's hand, which was snatched from the body of a ninja. This ninja was stripped alive by Jiraiya, so Jiraiya can get this samurai sword. He knew that this samurai sword was his weapon, and he must get it, because that was what he wanted to revenge. Xuan Che also saw the katana in Jiraiya's hand, and he also saw the katana in Jiraiya's hand. Chapter 343. He looked at Jiraiya with disdain and contempt in his eyes. A spear also appeared in his hand. The spear drew a beautiful arc in the air, and then pierced towards Jiraiya. Both people are using ninjutsu and weapons. One is a black katana and the other is a red spear. These two weapons are so hard that they have been tempered. Even if they are burned with flames, it may be difficult to melt them. Both weapons are poisonous and corrosive. They only need to touch the enemy. His body will corrode the enemy's skin, turning the enemy into a corpse. And these two things are the best ninjas, which are tailor-made for Jiraiya by the Hyuga clan. The ninjas of the Hyuga clan are exactly the same, and there is no other ninja besides Jiraiya. Have this kind of tolerant. After Jiraiya used the ninja, his body was immediately attacked by poison. The poison spread extremely fast, and soon spread to his whole body. This time, his body finally couldn't stand the torture and fell directly to the ground. His body had lost the ability to resist. Jiraiya's body was lying straight on the ground, looking like a dead person. Jiraiya's pupils began to enlarge, his breathing became more and more rapid, and his eyeballs began to slowly emerge. His body was gradually drying out, and his skin began to become pitch black, and soon turned into a corpse. Xuan Che looked at Jiraiya's body lying on the ground with a smile on his mouth. Advertisement Yuan, your strength really surprised me, but soon, you will pay the price for your own pride, because you are a very stupid guy. Xuan Che walked to Jiraiya and squatted down in front of Jiraiya. Jiraiya's body is already stiff, and he can't speak anymore. Xuan Che's hand slowly stroked Jiraiya's face. Jiraiya's eyeballs began to spin slowly, his pupils began to shrink, he had no strength, his consciousness was disappearing bit by bit. This feeling it made him very uncomfortable. You are really like that girl. I hope she can forgive my betrayal. I also hope you can forgive me. I hope you can take good care of her for me. Jiraiya's eyes slowly closed, and he was finally free. Xuan Che's hand slowly reached into Jiraiya's pocket, and took out the samurai sword in his hand. When he took out the samurai sword, Xuan Che's eyes lit up because he saw his reflection in the samurai sword. Looking at this reflection, Xuan Che couldn't help laughing. Jiraiya, you are not wrong, you know? I also like that girl very much. She is the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. Her figure is so attractive. Her eyes are very beautiful. Those eyes are full of love. Those hands are slender and whole. The hilt of the sword is always able to dance the sword. Do you know how perfect her figure is? She wore a red dress, just like a blooming flower. Wearing this cheongsam on her body is even more charming. Those legs are really beautiful. Xuan Che was immersed in memories as he spoke. I happened to go to Jiraiya that day, and then I saw her chatting with another person. This person is not someone else but the man, and her eyes are full of strong hatred. I don't understand. Why? I don't understand. You are a very smart person. I believe you will be able to guess it. Why should I treat you this way? Advertisement. I wanted to talk to her alone that night, but the two of you were very vigilant. I couldn't find any chance at all, and I was also very curious. Why did you treat me like this? So I decided to investigate first this matter. Then, I sent someone to follow them, and I also know that my behavior will definitely not cause anyone's suspicion, so I didn't hide my deeds. I just wanted to see if you two or it's not adultery. At that time, when I saw the two of them walking on the road, your eyes were drooling. Looking at your eyes made me very angry. I knew you two must be in a relationship. You are a Hyuga family. The patriarch would actually do such a despicable thing. Are you still a man? Later, I sent someone to monitor the actions of the two of them, and it really lived up to my expectations. The two of them did have a relationship, although it was only carried out in a room in Konoha. I also heard about it. There was also some ambiguous physical contact between the two of them, which made me angry. In my heart, I am very upset. I want to kill them. I want to cut them 2,000 times, but I know that I can't do it. When I saw the two of them in bed, my heart became even more uncomfortable. I was mad with jealousy, and everyone who was jealous went mad. I felt like a wild beast was biting in my heart. It was very painful. So, I decided that I would destroy both of them. I searched for a long time and finally found an opportunity. I put a poison into a bottle of wine, and then poured the wine into the drink that the two of them drank. The bottle of drink was poisoned. The two of them drank it, and the two of them would be killed immediately. I thought, by then, I would be able to take advantage of the chaos and escape. However, what I didn't expect was that the two of them would actually be able to escape. I sent people followed the two of them and found that they were in a fire temple on a mountain near Konoha, so I asked them to go to the temple to find them both. As a result, the two of them were not there at all. After leaving the temple, I thought of this strategy. I wanted to blow up the temple. I know that both of them value the people in the temple. If the temple is blown up, the two of them will not give up. I believe they two people would definitely go to me and kill me, but what I didn't expect was that someone rescued both of them that night, so I buried the secret, and then I returned to mine. The residents, all of this, are all arranged by me. No one of you knows all of this. You didn't expect that they weren't killed by the bombing? After speaking, Xuan Che laughed loudly. At this time, Xuan Che looked at Jiraiya and said, Jiraiya, this is your biggest mistake. Your mistake has caused us all to be in desperation. We are all members of the Hyuga family. We are whole, and you, but for a woman, did such a despicable thing, so today, let you die in my hands. As he said, Xuan Che took out a samurai sword in his hand, and his eyes flashed with indifference. His eyes fell coldly to Jiraiya's chest, and his eyes were full of killing intent. He wanted to kill Jiraiya with his own hands. This was his promise. Chapter 344. The samurai sword in his hand is made by the ancestral sword of the Hyuga clan. It is a very sharp knife. Whenever it is cut, it will be chopped into pieces. This sword can cut the human body into several segments. Xuan Che squeezed the scabbard tightly, preparing to stab Jiraiya with his knife. There was a cruel smile at the corner of his mouth, and he seemed to be able to feel that Jiraiya was cut off by himself, blood was splashing, and there was no bones left. Xuan Che, you can't kill me. Only I can use this knife. I am the one recognized by the Hyuga family. At this moment, Jiraiya suddenly said, his face still has a calm expression. When Xuan Che heard Jiraiya's words, the katana in his hand trembled slightly. HMPH, I don't care who you are, since you want to live, then I will fulfill you, Xuan Che said coldly. Xuan Che's eyes revealed a fierce look, and his eyes rolled, seeming to be thinking about how to deal with Jiraiya. Xuan Che looked at Jiraiya lying motionless on the ground, his eyes flashed a haze, and he whispered, I can't kill you, but you must die in my hands, otherwise, I will sleepy and sleepy. After speaking, the knife in Xuan Che's hand suddenly pierced towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya looked at the stabbing blade, and the corners of his mouth raised a scornful smile. Do you think I will be afraid of you? After speaking, Jiraiya drew his dagger directly from his waist and rushed towards Xuan Che's direction. The samurai sword in Xuan Che's hand directly blocked Jiraiya's attack, with a cold smile in his eyes. Ha 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 ha, Jiraiya, do you think you can kill me? Jiraiya looked at Xuan Che coldly and snorted coldly. He had already made a plan in his heart. After he killed Xuan Che, he immediately fled here. He wanted to fly far away and never return to this ghost place again. Humph, Xuan Che, today you will definitely die. You want to kill me? Do you think I will give you a chance? After speaking, Xuan Che directly waved the samurai sword in his hand and slashed in the direction of Jiraiya. His speed was very fast, and he came to Jiraiya in an instant. Jiraiya fought against Xuan Che while swinging his dagger, while attacking towards Xuan Che. Ding 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 ding. Advertisement clang. The two were intertwined together. You came and I attacked each other, constantly making a burst of crashing sound, and the sound resounded and echoed in the empty cave. In this silent night, it was extraordinarily weird. Bang. After Xuan Che and Jiraiya fought for 5 or 6 rounds, Jiraiya's dagger was inserted directly on Xuan Che's shoulder. Suddenly, Xuan Che spewed a mouthful of black and red blood, and his whole body fell to the ground. At this moment, Jiraiya's foot was stepping on Xuan Che's body. You lose, Humph, do you think you won? Xuan Che, you are so naive. Jiraiya snorted, and then he took his feet away from Xuan Che's body. Xuan Che, I admit that you are a little better than me, but I still have a way to kill you. Oh, yeah? Xuan Che stood up slowly, his face was full of sarcastic smiles, and the corners of his mouth had a mocking arc. Can you kill me? Ha 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 ha. Xuan Che, do you think you really have the chance to win? In fact, you are still losing, because your strength is much worse than mine. If I didn't guess wrong, you should have practiced some taboo skills. That's why your cultivation level has become so powerful, and, I also tell you one thing, in fact, the dagger you just used is not your so-called katana, but another weapon called the ninja sword, which is specially designed for ninjas. The samurai sword, your strength is improved by this ninja sword. As long as I kill you, cut off your body, and match it with the ninja sword in my hand, I will have enough control. Kill you, by that time, the Hyuga clan, no one can stop me. There was a confident look on Jiraiya's face. Hearing that, Xuan Che's face became ugly. Xuan Che took a deep breath, and then said coldly, what you said is true. Of course it's true, Jiraiya said very positively. HMPH, I don't believe it, unless you show evidence to prove that what you said is right. If I can't prove what I said, then I don't believe it. You have the ability to kill me. As he said, Xuan Che picked up the samurai sword in his hand, his gaze fell on Jiraiya's body, and a fierce light appeared in his eyes, as if Jiraiya was his greatest enemy. Zero ask for flowers, his gaze has been on Jiraiya's body, and the samurai sword in his hand has been raised high and slashed towards Jiraiya's head. Jiraiya also looked at the katana that was slashing towards him, and his heart was also very panicked. If he was slashed in the head by this katana, then he would undoubtedly die. Advertisement. Although Jiraiya's heart was very panicked, his face was still very calm, his hand clenched his fist tightly, and then a cold light flashed, his hand, already holding the dagger, facing Xuan Che's neck was scratched. Huh! Jiraiya's knife cut Xuan Che's neck severely, and suddenly, a warm liquid sprayed directly from his neck. 0. After Xuan Che's neck was cut, blood continuously flowed out, and soon his clothes were wet, leaving a blood-red mark on his clothes. This is the effect of Jiraiya's dagger just now. Jiraiya's technique is very delicate, and his technique is also very superb. Xuan Che looked at Jiraiya's dagger, his face changed. He knew that he had been successfully attacked by Jiraiya just now and he had already been defeated. Moreover, his fate was already in Jiraiya's hands. Thinking of this, Xuan Che couldn't help but feel a strong sense of hatred and anger. This be **************** D. You chopsticks. I must kill you. I will never let you go, Xuan Che gritted his teeth and said. You don't have that ability. There was a hideous look on Jiraiya's face. Jiraiya, you will pay the price, you will die in my hands. With that said, Xuan Che's face showed a hideous look. He picked up the samurai sword in his hand and swung it abruptly. Call out. A sharp knife light flew out of the knife in Xuan Che's hand, and shot towards Jiraiya's body. Seeing the sharp light of the knife, Jiraiya's face changed drastically. He hurriedly brandished the katana, blocking his body in front of his body. Boom! With a dull voice, Jiraiya's body was directly repelled by the knife. Jiraiya staggered back 3 steps, then his face was pale, and a trace of blood slowly slid down the corner of his mouth. NS. Chapter 345. Xuan Che's strength made Jiraiya feel terrified, and immediately Jiraiya chose to escape without saying a word. Immediately afterwards, Xuan Che did not chase, but rested on the spot. However, a few minutes later, Konoha and Ninja appeared. Jiraiya sued, and now Ninja came to capture Xuan Che and go back. They said that Xuan Che had betrayed Konoha and should be captured and dealt with. Xuan Che certainly won't let them take away as they wish. Xuan Che sneered. Are you sure you want to capture me? That's right. Ninja nodded. Well, I'll go to Konoha with you. Xuan Che's answer surprised the Konoha shinobi, but Xuan Che was really willing to follow them. However, the Konoha shinobi did not hesitate, because Xuan Che is too strong. If Xuan Che is unwilling to follow them, they are not Xuan Che's opponents at all, and Xuan Che is willing to follow them, which is just right for them. So Xuan Che was caught back, which is a good thing for Konoha. Of course, Xuan Che didn't know that he had already been recruited and had become a pawn in the hands of others. Along the way, Xuan Che was silent. Konoha's headquarters is in front, please go. Ninja pointed to a city in front of him. Xuan Che nodded and walked forward without any indication. Xuan Che followed the Konoha Ninja through the entire Konoha defenses, and finally reached the door of Konoha headquarters. Ninja took Xuan Che into Konoha headquarters. Xuan Che's eyes scanned the surroundings and found that the surrounding buildings were very gorgeous and very beautiful, not inferior to Konoha village. However, Xuan Che didn't feel much about Konoha's buildings, instead he was interested in Konoha's intelligence organization. Master Xuan Che, live here now. Ninja led Xuan Che to a house. No need. Xuan Che shook his head and refused. Why? My identity is special, and your Konoha intelligence organization will not allow me to stay in Konoha headquarters. Advertisement. The Ninja was taken aback, and then he understood the reason. With an identity like Xuan Che, they naturally dare not let it go easily. Upon seeing this, Xuan Che went on to say, I need some intelligence materials. If you give this to Konoha's intelligence organization, you will say that I need these intelligence materials so that they can prepare them. In addition, I want to know everything about here, including the information network where Konoha is here. This. Anbu Ninja hesitated. He was worried that he would not obey Xuan Che's orders. After all, the intelligence network here is too important. If Xuan Che Master's intelligence network is too important, then he may be in trouble, so Xuan Che must make this request. Upon seeing this, Xuan Che said, What, are you scared? Xuan Che's words are naked and radical methods. Sure enough, the Anbu Ninja was very excited. Afraid? Joke. As long as Master Xuan Che needs me to do anything, I will do my best. Even if this intelligence network is dead, I will leave it to Master Xuan Che. Okay, I hope you keep your promise. Xuan Che smiled faintly. Xuan Che also knew that Anbu Ninja said this deliberately, because Anbu Ninja knew that Xuan Che was not Konoha's opponent in the intelligence force, so he would say this. He did so just to irritate himself. Master Xuan Che, please rest assured. Anbu Ninja slapped his chest and promised. Xuan Che ignored Anbu Ninja, but went into the room and sat down, and began to flip through some documents on the table. Xuan Che's eyes fell on a newspaper. On the cover of this newspaper are several photos of a man and a woman. This. Xuan Che looked at the men and women above, with a look of doubt on his face. He didn't know who the men and women in the photo were. Could it be that? A trace of speculation emerged in Xuan Che's mind. Then Xuan Che continued to look down. The following article says that the couple is a lover, but this lover cannot be exposed. It turned out to be a rivalry relationship. Xuan Che muttered to himself, but then he fell into thought again. If I remember correctly, my rival's son is a man named Uchiha Itachi, and Uchiha Itachi is a Konoha shinobi. No wonder Jiraiya hates Uchiha Itachi so much, Xuan Che said suddenly. At the same time, Xuan Che also had a deep aversion to the situation of Konoha shinobi. These guys are really despicable and shameless. It's no wonder Jiraiya hates Konoha shinobi so much that he does such a nasty thing. 0. After Xuan Che finished reading the newspaper, he threw the newspaper aside and then continued to read the document. Advertisement. The document contains some information about here, as well as some basic information about Konoha shinobi. Xuan Che frowned slightly as he looked at the document. This document is some information from Konoha shinobi, but there are no useful clues, nor any information about it. Are these all fake? Do not, these are true. These data are collected by the intelligence department and are definitely not fake. Suddenly, a voice came from outside, interrupting Xuan Che's thoughts. Xuan Che looked up and found that a young and handsome boy appeared in front of him. The young man has a pair of fascinating peach eyes and his lips are slightly curled. At first glance, he is not an offensive character, but the young man exudes an evil spirit, which gives people a very dangerous feeling. It's you. Xuan Che looked at the boy and recognized the boy's identity. The boy is the Konoha shinobi who was defeated by Xuan Che. That's right, it's me. We meet again. This time, I will let you lose miserably. Yeah? You can't beat me by relying on you. I am not relying on me. I rely on the power behind me. My father is Konoha's elder, and I am Konoha's second generation. Oh, it turned out to be like this. Humph. In this world, money can make ghosts go ahead. With money, our power will become stronger. How can you be my opponent like a trash? Then try it. Xuan Che smiled faintly and didn't take him seriously. After all, there are only two people here. One is the ninja of Anbu and the other is the elder of Konoha. He doesn't believe in this evil. Moreover, his current strength has exceeded the level of a ninja, so he is not afraid at all. Snort. Wait and see. After the boy finished speaking, he flicked his sleeves and turned and left. Xuan Che continued to look for news about Konoha. After one day, Xuan Che stayed at Konoha's place all night, waiting for Konoha to send someone to pick him up the next day. The next morning, Xuan Che was picked up by the Anbu ninja sent by Konoha. Chapter 346. When Xuan Che was sent on the plane, Xuan Che couldn't help asking, how many people are there in your ninja army? The number of people here has exceeded 30,000. 30,000 people. Xuan Che murmured, a solemn flash on his face. This Konoha shinobi is indeed amazing. In just one day, he recruited 30,000 people. The speed is terrifying. However, Xuan Che was not too shocked. After all, Konoha's intelligence forces have always existed, and they are still responsible for collecting intelligence personnel from various countries' intelligence agencies. Xuan Che has seen the capabilities of these intelligence personnel, and there is also Konoha. The Special Intelligence Network. These intelligence networks are also one of Konoha's special weapons. Therefore, it is not surprising that Xuan Che's ninja army can recruit 30,000 ninjas in such a short period of time. Xuan Che, is your intelligence organization still short of manpower? If you don't mind, we are willing to join your intelligence organization and serve you. Suddenly, an unfamiliar voice rang in Xuan Che's ear. 09. Hearing this, Xuan Che turned sideways slightly and looked at the owner of the voice. I saw a young man standing opposite Xuan Che. You are? Xuan Che asked puzzledly. I am the person in charge of Konoha Information Network. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. My ninjutsu is fire style how you pair flower needle. You can call me Sasuke. The young man smiled faintly and introduced himself. Sasuke. What a strange name. Xuan Che muttered, and then he continued to ask. What is your intelligence network for? The nature of the work of the intelligence network is very complicated. You don't need to know the specifics, because you are not suitable to know. I just acted on orders, and I don't know anything else. Oh, well, if that's the case, then we don't need to talk about it. Huh? What do you mean? When Uchiha Sasuke heard the words, he raised his eyebrows and looked at Xuan Che with displeasure. You understand, I mean, we don't need to talk about it. Xuan Che glanced at Uchiha Sasuke lightly and said indifferently. Haha. Xuan Che-kun, I can tell you, as long as you are willing to surrender and follow our Konoha shinobi village to do things, we will help you improve your strength and make you the mainstay of Konoha, and if you can help Konoha capture some Konoha shinobi, you will even be promoted to cage level. Promoted to cage level? Xuan Che couldn't help being a little surprised. After all, cage level is very precious to a ninja village. If it can really improve its strength, then it is naturally the best. Advertisement yes. Xuan Che-kun, as long as you are willing to submit to Konoha, you will be Konoha's general in the days to come. Uchiha Sasuke said with a smile. Well, let's not talk about it for now. Xuan Che shook his head faintly. I don't know my strength yet. I don't know if I can become a cage-level powerhouse. So, for the time being, I won't join you Konoha. Humph, I knew you would say that. Although your strength is good, you are still far behind me, so it is impossible for you to be a cage-level powerhouse. You can only be a dog of our Konoha. Do our best for us. Uchiha Sasuke smiled coldly and said disdainfully. You mean to kill me? Xuan Che stared at Uchiha Sasuke and asked. Uchiha Sasuke was taken aback for a moment, the expression on his face instantly stiffened, and then he shook his head and waved his hand. No, no, how dare I? I am a Konoha shinobi, and I am not allowed to hurt the innocent. Since you don't want to kill me, you still say something like this, you don't want to kill me, what else can it be? Xuan Che asked with a sneer. No, no, I really didn't mean that, I mean, Xuan Che-kun. I hope you can consider joining our Konoha shinobi army, you can become Konoha's Grand Marshal. Uchiha Sasuke said awkwardly. Grand Marshal? I don't like it. Xuan Che shook his head and said. So, what do you mean? I don't like being a general, Xuan Che said lightly. What? I don't want to be a general marshal, impossible, you must agree. You are Konoha's Grand Marshal, this matter has not been discussed. Sorry, I refused, jerk. I think you are toasting and not eating fine wine. Then I will eat you a fine drink. While speaking, Xuan Che suddenly stretched out his right hand and grabbed it towards Uchiha Sasuke. When Uchiha Sasuke saw this, he was also angry, he was also Konoha's ninja, and he was actually bullied by a little chunin. You dare to attack me? Uchiha Sasuke's face was blue, he slammed a punch at Xuan Che. Xuan Che saw Uchiha Sasuke's fist rushing towards him with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. Then, with a move of his right hand, he easily grasped Uchiha Sasuke's fist. Advertisement what? Uchiha Sasuke saw Xuan Che easily squeezing his fist, with a look of disbelief. Haha, my fists are not like some people's fists, they can only swing wildly, and they are still savage, and I have lost the face of the ninja family. I'm going to kill you. With that said, Uchiha Sasuke's other hand also slapped towards Xuan Che. Xuan Che watched Uchiha Sasuke's attack, and a mocking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He squeezed Uchiha Sasuke's fist with one hand. After a little effort, he heard a click. Uchiha Sasuke's arm was broken by Xuan Che. NS. What? Uchiha Sasuke couldn't help letting out a scream. Snort. With your strength, wanting to be a marshal is simply fantastic. While speaking, Xuan Che threw Uchiha Sasuke's body out of the spacecraft. Bang! Uchiha Sasuke was thrown out of the spacecraft and fell to the ground. Inside the spaceship, Uchiha Sasuke's face was full of anger and humiliation. He had never been so humiliated before, let alone being thrown out of the spaceship like this. I cannot be reconciled. I must kill you. Uchiha Sasuke gritted his teeth, and then got up from the ground. Humph, if you want to die, then go. Xuan Che snorted and kicked Uchiha Sasuke in the chest. Uchiha Sasuke spit out a big mouthful of blood again, and the whole person flew back. Xuan Che, you be asterisk. You dare to hit me. I will never let you go. Uchiha Sasuke was trembling with anger, his eyes were bloodshot, and he stared at Xuan Che with a grim look, wishing to rush up to smash Xuan Che to pieces. However, at this moment, a icy voice suddenly entered Uchiha Sasuke's ears. Uchiha Sasuke, didn't you just want to kill brother Xuan Che? Why are you afraid now? I want to see why you don't let him go. Chapter 347. Hearing the familiar voice, Uchiha Sasuke's body trembled suddenly, then turned his head and saw a man in a black robe, a long sword, and a silver mask standing there. Big brother. You are actually the eldest brother. You weren't kept in jail. How could you be here? Uchiha Sasuke looked at the person next to Xuan Che and asked with shocked expression on his face. Xuan Che said coldly. Uchiha Sasuke, I have received your order, and I have promised to join the ninja army in the ninja world, so the grievances between us have been cleared. Now I am a Konoha shinobi, and you are an indigenous person, each of us does not interfere with our own freedom, and we don't need to be entangled anymore in the future. I advise you to get out of Konoha as soon as possible, so as not to make people laugh. You, how, want to avenge me? Snort. I'm not afraid of you, just come if you have a kind. With that said, Xuan Che looked at Uchiha Sasuke defiantly and said disdainfully. When Uchiha Sasuke saw Xuan Che's attitude, he was trembling with anger. He clenched his fists and exuded the fierce flames of war. He roared. Damn it! You dare to insult my big brother. I am going to kill you. I am going to kill you. Ha ha. Kill me. Come on, I am waiting for you to kill. Xuan Che looked at Uchiha Sasuke and said with a sneer, I have given you a chance, but you don't know how to hold it. No wonder others, you can only blame you for being stupid. I am going to kill you. I am going to kill you. Uchiha Sasuke couldn't restrain the anger in his heart anymore, and immediately rushed to Xuan Che, and violently attacked Xuan Che with a violent storm. Seeing Uchiha Sasuke's attack, Xuan Che did not show weakness and immediately fought back. Huh! A gust of wind roared, and the two figures quickly intertwined. You come and go, as fast as lightning, so fast that people can't see clearly. The speed of the two of them is very fast. Almost every time they pass by, a blink of an eye is a series of attacks. All of a sudden, there is a mess around, the ground is covered with messy branches, grass and stones, and the air is filled with a strong fishy smell. Boom! Finally, after a few more minutes, a muffled noise suddenly came. What? Advertisement pouch. Puff. What? With a scream, a plume of blood sprayed out suddenly, splashing Xuan Che's face all over his body, and a cloud of blood ran down Xuan Che's neck. A big slap print appeared on Xuan Che's cheek. What? Xuan Che clutched his swollen face and yelled in pain. I want to kill you. I want you to die without a burial place. Uchiha Sasuke's eyes flushed, and he rushed towards Xuan Che frantically. Humph, Uchiha Sasuke, who do you think you are? Why are you killing me? Xuan Che snorted coldly, and also greeted Uchiha Sasuke, and the two fought fiercely again. Both Xuan Che and Uchiha Sasuke are in the early stage of the 7th level, but their cooperation is very tacit. Bang! Bang! The two collided together again, and a terrifying aftermath spread out, and immediately attracted the attention of everyone around. When everyone looked at the scene in front of them, they were all stunned. Oh my god, they actually started fighting. Who are these two people who actually fought in Konoha's base camp? Advertisement. This is wonderful now, I don't know who can win. Snort. The guy in black must be Xuan Che, because that person is much stronger. Yes, he deserves to be the first genius in our ninja village, he is really extraordinary, he has broken through to level 7 so quickly, it's so powerful. Yes. Among the freshmen this year, only Xuan Che has the strongest strength. What a pity Uchiha Sasuke. He is younger than Xuan Che, but his strength is indeed not weaker than Xuan Che. Why? What a pity, what a pity. Although Uchiha Sasuke is great, he encountered the monster Xuan Che. It is estimated that he will fall today. When everyone saw Xuan Che and Uchiha Sasuke fighting fiercely, they all started talking. At this moment, the defeat of Uchiha Sasuke appeared in their minds, and they secretly felt sorry for Uchiha Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke, what are you still waiting for? Run quickly. Xuan Che saw Uchiha Sasuke still standing there stupidly, and couldn't help but shout loudly, are you an idiot? Do you think you are Nine Tails? Let me tell you, you are not Nine Tails at all, but a trash that is inferior to 5th Mizukage's son. You talk nonsense. How could I not be Nine Tails? Hearing what Xuan Che said, Uchiha Sasuke could no longer control the anger in his heart, and roared at Xuan Che, I am the biological son of Nine Tails, and I am the best child of Nine Tails. My strength is definitely higher than you. Snort. That's because your mother is an extremely ugly Nine Tails fox. Where can her son get better? Ha ha. Ha ha ha. When Xuan Che heard Uchiha Sasuke's words, he burst into laughter suddenly, but don't worry, when I kill you, I will take your corpse to feed the dog, so that you will always become a dog hall. You. Uchiha Sasuke flushed with anger when he heard the words, he pointed at Xuan Che, but he was speechless for a long time. I didn't expect Xuan Che to be such a sinister and cunning person. In Uchiha Sasuke's mind, the appearance of his father immediately appeared. For a moment, Uchiha Sasuke only felt an angry fire of Qian Zhao in his chest burning. He wished to cut Xuan Che thousands of times. Kid, do you want to scold me? That's right, I just want to scold you. You trash, you rubbish. Not only are you not the son of Nine Tails, you are not even the fur of Nine Tails. Xuan Che looked at Uchiha Sasuke and said arrogantly, do you know why I keep not killing you? Do you know why I hate the Uchiha clan so much? Because you are not from the Uchiha clan at all. You are a B*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** When Uchiha Sasuke heard the words, he was trembling with anger, and a raging rage rose from his chest. He looked at Xuan Che with anger and gritted his teeth every word. I tell you, I don't care about you. Who is it? I must kill you. Must, you wait for me. After speaking, he turned around and quickly rushed down the mountain. Chapter 348 Humph, you still want to kill me? Overestimate? Xuan Che looked at the direction in which Uchiha Sasuke disappeared, and a sardonic smile was drawn at the corner of his mouth. Even if you were a genius of the Uchiha clan, it is just a rubbish. It is impossible to be my opponent. After speaking, Xuan Che also turned and left, and continued to chase Yui. At the same time, Yi Yu flew away while continuously releasing giant snakes one after another, trying to stop Xuan Che. It's a pity that Xuan Che is a master after all, and his strength is one step higher than Yi Yu. Therefore, Yi Yu wanted to delay Xuan Che with a giant python, but he couldn't do it at all. Whizzing. Whizzing. The python kept attacking towards Xuan Che, but was easily avoided by Xuan Che. Seeing Xuan Che easily dodge the attack of the giant python, Xuan Che's face became more savage. He roared, "Go to hell." As his voice just fell, I saw a terrifying black light burst out of Xuan Che's body. This terrifying black light condensed a pair of black armor on his body, and then quickly set on Xuan Che's body. Bang! With a muffled sound, a huge black skull appeared immediately behind Xuan Che. Xuan Che glared, screamed, and rushed towards the black skull, hitting the black skull fiercely. Bang! The black skull's hair vibrated violently, and it burst into shreds in an instant, disappearing. Bang! Xuan Che's body flickered, and the whole person flew upside down towards Yi Yu. Seeing Xuan Che flying over, Yi Yu hurriedly used Shunpo and quickly retreated back to avoid being hit by Xuan Che. Ha ha! Boy, I said, you can't escape my stalking. Xuan Che laughed loudly when he saw this. Xuan Che's laughter was full of pride, and there was a thick smile on his face, as if he had seen Yi Yu lying at his feet begging for mercy. Advertisement call out. A strong wind suddenly hit his chest. Xuan Che was startled, and quickly stretched out his hand to catch the strong wind in his hand. Boom! When Xuan Che grasped the strong wind, he felt a strong counter-shock force, and he couldn't help but vomit blood. The whole person was shaken by the strong wind and flew out heavily. The ground fell to the ground with a bang. Boom! With two loud noises, two deep pits were smashed into the ground, smoke and dust filled with dust. What? Xuan Che saw that he had been traumatized so severely, his face suddenly changed, and a trace of amazement flickered from his eyes. Damn it! Why is this kid so strong? Can withstand my full blow? Xuan Che cursed in a low voice, and then he immediately stood up from the ground, staring at Yi Yu indifferently, and said coldly, "Your body is really strong. However, in my eyes, your cultivation is no different from ants. I advise you not to do unnecessary struggles. Surrender obediently, so as not to waste everyone's time." Hearing Xuan Che's words, Yi Yu's face showed a look of contempt, and he said disdainfully, "You be asterisk 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 D. I tell you, lousy will not surrender, unless you kill me. Since you are toasting and not eating fine wine, then don't blame me for ruining the flowers. I want to extract your soul and refine it, but I want to see what exactly you are." Xuan Che's eyes showed a strong ferocious color. He slowly raised his right fist. A black flame slowly gathered in his fist, and then formed a huge black fireball. When Yi Yu saw Xuan Che's posture, her expression suddenly changed, and she hurriedly urged Nighthawk to come. Hurry up and take your people and retreat quickly. This guy is not simple, you are not his opponent at all." Xuan Che sneered when he heard Yi Yu's reminder. However, I haven't played enough yet. If this is the case, then catch you back, I will torture and then kill you." After speaking, Xuan Che threw the black fireball out and headed towards Yaoi assault. Xuan Che's black fireball is very fast, almost galloping in the direction of Yaoi in the blink of an eye. From Xuan Che's point of view, he only needs to add a little strength, and Yaoi will definitely die. Yi Yu felt the huge pressure and devastating breath from the black fireball, and his face was full of solemnity. He didn't expect that the strength of this Xuan Che would have reached this level. Such combat power has completely exceeded his imagination. "Kid, do you still dare to be arrogant now?" Seeing Yi Yu's solemn expression, Xuan Che immediately yelled triumphantly. Hearing Xuan Che's provocation, Yi Yu couldn't help frowning. He pondered for a moment, and then a wicked smile appeared on his face. His mouth was slightly opened, and the weird curses instantly came out of Yi Yu's mouth. "Fly out. Hum. Hum. Hum." These weird spells condensed little insects in the void, and each of these little insects looked exactly like Yi Yu. At this time, golden rays of light flew out from the golden bugs and flew towards Xuan Che. These little golden bugs are Yaoyu's spirit magic heart eaters. Although Yaoi only comprehends one kind of spiritual magic, this heartbiter is composed of his mental power. Therefore, Yaoi is already very skilled in their control. There is almost no difficulty, so you can do whatever you want to manipulate them. Advertisement call out. Those heart eaters flew into Xuan Che's eyes halfway through, causing Xuan Che to frown. Seeing Xuan Che frown, a successful smile appeared on Yi Yu's face, and immediately, he took all the heart eaters back. How can it be? Xuan Che saw that all the heart eaters had disappeared, and couldn't help exclaiming, his eyes full of shock. Although the heart eater is only a low-level monster, the number of heart eaters is very large. There are more than 10,000 heart eaters, and they are constantly flying out of Yi Yu's body. Flying above the sky, a huge cloud formed, flying above the clouds, looking very spectacular. Call out! Call out! Call out! At this time, golden rays of light shot out from the bodies of the heart eaters, and attacked Xuan Che's body, causing Xuan Che's expression to change. The speed of these heart eaters is so fast that ordinary people can't hide it at all. Xuan Che has just been seriously injured and it is impossible to hide it. He can only choose to resist, but he is afraid of hurting the group of children, so, Xuan Che could only watch the golden beads of light, shooting towards him, and then beating him with bruises all over his body. What? Puff, puff, puff. Seeing Xuan Che's appearance, Yi Yu suddenly laughed excitedly. Although Xuan Che's behavior just made Yi Yu very angry, Yi Yu also knew that these heart eaters would run away only when they encountered a real powerful enemy or crisis. Otherwise, they would not dare to move. Will only hibernate quietly. And Xuan Che's strength is stronger than Yi Yu, so the heartbiter has no resistance at all in front of Xuan Che. Not long after, Xuan Che's body was shot by those heartbiters, and the blood rushed. The clothes on his body were pierced with several large holes, exposing the white bones inside, which looked extremely terrifying. Xuan Che's body was pierced with several large holes, and his body suddenly shook, and the gaze looking at Yi Yu was even more shocked. How can it be? How could you have such a powerful summoning beast? Xuan Che asked in shock. Hearing Xuan Che's question, Yi Yu sneered and said sarcastically, "That's right, I do have such a summoning beast." With that, Yi Yu waved his hand, and the Heart Eaters flew down one after another and shot towards Xuan Che, densely packed, making the scalp numb. Chapter 349. It is the first time that Xuan Che has seen the Heart Eater as a summoning beast, but this Yaoi has a really strong ability to use the Heart Eater. Xiao Yi, can this Heart Eater be eaten? Xuan Che asked. Yes, but I can't do it yet, Yi Yu replied. Oh, let's get out of here as soon as possible. This kind of Heart Eater is terrifying. If it gets bitten, it will kill you, Xuan Che said. Well, let's go. Yi Yu nodded in agreement. Seeing Yi Yu agree to leave, Xuan Che planned to leave with Yi Yu, but when he just turned around, he heard a cry of surprise. Ah. What happened? Xuan Che quickly stopped and turned around to look around. I saw a woman in gorgeous clothes lying on the ground. At this moment, she was holding her head in her hands and wailing in pain, her face full of pain. Yi Yu, what are you doing in a daze? Go over and take a look. Seeing Yi Yu still standing still, Xuan Che shouted quickly. Yi Yu nodded, then walked to the woman, approached the woman, and found that she was holding her head wailing, so she stretched out her hand and pressed her head. The woman immediately stopped the howling. She slowly raised her head to look at Yi Yu. When she saw Ye Yu's face clearly, she was completely stupid. Her eyes widened, she looked at Yaoi in disbelief, and then suddenly plunged into Ye Yu's arms and held Yaoi tightly, waist. At this time Yi Yu reacted, and then stretched out her hand to push the woman. Hey, what are you doing? Are men and women giving or receiving kisses? The woman still hugged Ye Yu's waist, and she did not relax at all. Lord Yaoi, please take in the little girl. I am willing to serve you for the rest of my life. I only ask you to save the little girl's life, please. While talking, the woman actually cried. Seeing the woman crying so sad, Xuan Che suddenly felt that his goosebumps were all up, and he couldn't bear such a scene. Yi Yu was also a bit speechless by the woman in front of her. This woman shouldn't be a lunatic, how could she seem to know herself? Advertisement. No matter how she pushed Yi Yu, she couldn't push away the woman in front of her, so Yi Yu shot the woman a few meters away with a wave of his hand. At this time, Yi Yu felt a lot more relaxed, and then said, Who is this woman? How come you always pounce into the arms of others inexplicably? Do you know you are dangerous? After hearing Yi Yu's words, the woman did not get up or leave, but continued to lay on the ground and wailing. Xuan Che also stayed beside him. It was really hard for him to understand how Yi Yu did it. She was such a thin and weak woman, but she possessed such great power. It was really unimaginable. Hey, girl, get up. Who are you and why are you always like this? Yi Yu was a little angry. This woman was simply a lunatic. Woo, the woman lying on the ground is still crying silently. Are you crazy? I have already pushed you away. You are still lying on your stomach. You can't do it like this. Yi Yu continued to persuade. But the woman lying on the ground refused to get up, as if she did not believe what Yaoi had just said. She was still crying and crying silently. Yaoi could only shook her head when she saw it, and then said, Okay. Well, since you are so stubborn, I can only use tough methods. After that, Yi Yu stretched out his right hand and patted the woman's neck. When the woman was touched by Yi Yu's right hand, severe pain came from her neck for an instant, and she passed out in a coma. After seeing the woman fainting, Yi Yu stretched out her index finger to probe the tip of the woman's nose, and confirmed that the woman had just fainted. At this time, Xuan Che came over and said, I just heard you say that this heart eater is very poisonous, that's why I asked you. I didn't expect this heartbiter to be poisonous. The woman collapsed to the ground. I think it's better to send it to the hospital as soon as possible, otherwise there will be serious problems. It doesn't matter, I can control the heart eater, Yi Yu said. Control? How to control? Do you want to control that bug? This is unlikely. Although the heart eater looks small, but it can swallow the soul, it won't help if you control it, Xuan Che worried. Don't worry, I naturally have a way. Yi Yu said that she carried the woman on her back, and then walked out of the forest. Xuan Che followed Yaoi. Hey, young Master Yaoi, where are you going to take this girl? Are you really planning to send her to the hospital? Stop talking nonsense, follow me quickly, I don't have time to explain to you now. After Yi Yu speeded up, Xuan Che quickly speeded up when he saw it. Zero asked for flowers after walking for about 10 minutes, Yaoi took the woman back to the place where Xuan Che had met before. At this moment, he had recovered to his previous appearance, and the heart eater lay motionless there, and Yaoi walked to the place. In front of the heartworm, he stretched out his right hand and gently pressed it on the head of the heartworm, and then transported chakra into the heartworm body. Xuan Che saw that Yaoi had begun to perform ninjutsu again, so he stood aside. He knew that Yaoi's ninjutsu was very powerful and could control the heart eater, so he didn't dare to mess around. Advertisement. But after a while, Xuan Che felt strange. Because Yaoi's chakra input is very slow, as if healed her. Xuan Che wondered if Yezuki was a ninja of the Konoha Aburame clan? Zero. But he had never heard of Konoha like this. At this moment, Xuan Che found that there was sweat dripping on Yi Yu's forehead, and his face gradually became pale, and his body seemed to be trembling. Seeing this, Xuan Che walked up. Yi Yu, what's wrong with you? Why do you sweat so much? Yi Yu didn't speak, but waited quietly with his eyes closed. He had fallen into a deep sleep, and there was a light blue light covering Yi Yu's body. Xuan Che frowned when he saw Yi Yu's appearance. What the hell is this young Master Yi Yu doing? But he carefully observed Yi Yu's state and found that the Yei's son was not in any danger. Forget it, I'll go back first. After thinking about it, Xuan Che is ready to leave here. But at this moment, Xuan Che felt his body suddenly stiff, and then he felt a tingling sensation all over his body. Xuan Che couldn't help cursing at himself secretly. Is he also poisoned? Lord Yei, wake up, Xuan Che shouted quickly. But Yei lying on the ground still didn't respond, which made Xuan Che even more anxious, and now he has lost his mind. Xuan Che gritted his teeth, and then said to Yi Yu on the ground, since you are not awake, then I will carry you away. Anyway, I am not afraid that you will run away. If you dare to escape, I promise you will be broken into pieces. After speaking, Xuan Che directly bent over to carry Yi Yu, NS. Chapter 350. While carrying Yi Yu, Xuan Che found that his body was getting heavier and heavier, and finally he slapped Yi Yu on his shoulders all at once. Carrying Yi Yu, Xuan Che walked into the depths of the forest. His target was the old tree on the hillside outside the forest. After Xuan Che carried Yi Yu and came near the ancient tree, Xuan Che placed Yi Yu on the ground, and he began to look for the antidote around the ancient tree. Xuan Che searched for a long time and didn't find any antidote. In the end, he had no choice but to sigh. It seemed that he could only carry Yi Yu to the tree. Thinking, Xuan Che squatted down and prepared to carry Yi Yu, but at this moment, his legs suddenly weakened, and he fell straight to the ground, and then he found that his body seemed to be pressed down. Immediately he saw Yi Yu's beautiful and exquisite 090 face appear in front of his eyes. Yi Yu's mouth was still spitting bubbles, and the corners of her mouth were still stained with saliva. What is going on? Xuan Che was taken aback, and then he got up abruptly, looking at Yi Yu with an angry expression. Yei still has the expression in her sleep, her mouth still purring, and said, "Oh, I'm so tired, don't torture me anymore, my asterisk, it hurts, I want to rest, and it's all right." After that, Yi Yu turned over and went on to sleep. Xuan Che twitched the corners of his mouth a few times when he saw this. What is the situation with Yi Yu, who slept so sweetly? If this is the case, wouldn't he be fooled? Really? After thinking about it, Xuan Che went straight to Yi Yu's side and kicked Yi Yu fiercely. "Smelly boy, what are you doing? Do you know that you almost killed me? You even fell asleep while I was asleep. Throw me to the ground and let me be a human sandbag for you. Do you know how hard I was just now? Fortunately, my physique is better, or I must be killed by you." Xuan Che kept stomping his feet on the ground. His face was full of depression. He never thought that Yi Yu would throw him on the ground. You know, he is one of the best ninjas in Xuanyan village, his forbearance. The technique is very superb, even some ordinary ninjas are not his opponents, let alone Yei. He originally wanted to teach Yi Yu a lesson, but he didn't expect the ending to be like this. Advertisement humph, let's see how I teach you later, Xuan Che said with a sneer. He is a very vengeful person, since Yi Yu fainted him, he must retaliate back, otherwise his mind will be aggrieved. Ah, my stomach hurts, it hurts, help, there is a bad guy bullying me, help. Just as Xuan Che finished speaking, Yi Yu clutched her stomach and rolled on the ground while yelling. Hearing Yi Yu's screams, Xuan Che also panicked. He didn't know what caused the baby in his stomach to suffer so much. Xuan Che rushed to Yi Yu's face and helped Yi Yu up. "Young Master Yei, what's the matter with you? Young Master Yei." Xuan Che looked at Yi Yu with a worried expression. Yi Yu shook his head. It seemed that he was still a little awake, but he quickly reflected it, and then asked Xuan Che with a look of surprise. "Xuan Che, what happened just now? Why did I suddenly fall on the ground, and why are my clothes torn?" Xuan Che couldn't help rolling his eyes when he heard this. This guy is still pretending to be crazy and stupid. He really wants to beat up this guy now, but he must endure it now. "Young Master Yei, you seem to have a nightmare just now, so you fell into the swamp." Xuan Che made up an excuse to say. "Oh, that's the case, then I don't worry, I thought I was bitten by Lion Majesty." Yi Yu patted her chest and breathed a sigh of relief. "Young Master Yei, let's go up quickly, I will help you heal your injury now, so that you won't be affected by toxins anymore." With that said, Xuan Che picked up Yi Yu and walked up. Xuan Che tied a rope around Yi Yu's neck while walking up. The rope was wound with a piece of cloth so that the rope would not break easily. After Xuan Che held Yei to the top of the branch, he put Yei down and then untied the rope. Then he started to untie Yei's rope because he needed Yei's the blood expels the toxins, so that he can expel the toxins from the body earlier. Yi Yu looked at Xuan Che, and his heart was full of gratitude. Although the boy seemed to have a hot temper, he was really doing it for his own good, and he didn't deliberately lie to him. Thinking about it this way, his heart was also relieved. A lot of zero. Xuan Che untied all the ropes on Yi Yu's body, then threw the ropes to the ground, and then he began to check Yi Yu's injuries. Advertisement. Looking at the injuries on Yi Yu's body, Xuan Che frowned slightly. Although these wounds were not serious, they were very serious. Xuan Che picked up Yi Yu's right wrist and found that his left wrist was also entangled by the vines. He tried to break free of the vines with his internal force, but after several attempts, he still could not get rid of the vines' control. Xuan Che had no choice but to untie Yi Yu's arm and the rope on the back of his hand, and then instilled the chakra in his palm into Yi Yu's body. A burst of heat slowly rushed into Yi Yu's body. Soon, Xuan Che cut off the vines on his body, and immediately afterwards, his right hand returned to freedom. After Yi Yu saw his right hand regained his freedom, his face was filled with joy, and he quickly stretched out his right hand. Seeing the injuries on Yi Yu's palm, Xuan Che couldn't help but startled. These scars were actually scratched by vines. Xuan Che didn't understand how these vines could be so terrifying. He was able to scratch through Yi Yu's skin. But he didn't think so much, because the most important thing for him now was to remove the toxins from Yi Yu's body. After all, now they are both in a coma, and he doesn't know what to do to remove the toxins as quickly as possible. What should I do? What should I do? Xuan Che asked himself in his heart. When Xuan Che was at a loss, Yi Yu suddenly opened his eyes. Upon seeing this, Xuan Che was stunned. He never thought that Yi Yu would wake up suddenly. He originally thought that his plan would have failed, but he never expected that Yi Yu's body would be so strong. He was awake in a short period of time, which was unbelievable to him, but now the facts are in front of him, and he cannot tolerate him not to believe it. Young Master Yui, are you feeling better now? Xuan Che asked with concern looking at Yi Yu. Chapter 351. Well, much better. Yi Yu nodded and said. Seeing Yi Yu nodded, Xuan Che finally took a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that Yi Yu would continue to fall into a coma, and then he would really have nothing to do. Young Master Yui, then you should quickly run the exercises to absorb the toxins remaining in your body. If this is the case, your illness should get better and faster. After that, Xuan Che slowly moved the internal force in his body towards Yi Yu's body. Feeling the influx of chakra in Xuan Che's body, Yi Yu's heart moved. He immediately followed the way Xuan Che described, slowly running chakra, and began to absorb Xuan Che's chakra. Xuan Che felt that Yi Yu was using the chakra he taught him to absorb his own chakra, and his heart was also very shocked, because he had never encountered such a situation before. He did not expect that he taught Yi Yu things. Yi Yu was able to learn autonomously, which is simply shocking. He thought that only he could do this kind of thing, but he didn't expect Yi Yu to be able to learn it on his own. It seems that Yi Yu is not an ordinary person. He 09 is really amazing. Xuan Che was very excited. You know, he had never encountered such a situation before. If he hadn't taught Yi Yu himself, Yi Yu would never know how to practice. That is why he could teach. With so many talented people, they can become masters. Xuan Che used his chakra to heal Yui while observing Yui. He found that the toxins in Yu's body were very overbearing, and the toxins were still spreading rapidly. If he continued to allow the toxins to corrode like this, then he would definitely die because of the explosion of toxins in his body. Young Master Yui, can you now control the toxins in your body and stop spreading? Xuan Che asked Yi Yu. His tone was very respectful, because now he has pinned all his hopes on Yi Yu. Cannot? Yi Yu's tone was very firm. What? You can't control the toxins. What should you do? What should you do? Xuan Che almost jumped in a hurry. Don't worry, Mr. Xuan Che. I will find a way. I will definitely find the antidote. Yi Yu quickly comforted Xuan Che and said. Advertisement. But young Master Yui, how could your body become like this? How could you get such a powerful poison? And I think these vines are not just as simple as ordinary vines, they also attack people. What is going on? Xuan Che looked at Yi Yu suspiciously and asked. Mr. Xuan Che, wait for me to explain this to you. Now I still need to clean up the toxins in my body. Can you help me find a small wooden bucket? And can you find a set of clothes? Bathe? Yi Yu looked at Xuan Che and said, he has no way to think about other things now. He just wants to quickly get rid of his toxins so that his body can fully recover. Young Master Yui, wait a while, and I will prepare now. With that said, Xuan Che ran out, and then went to find the small wooden barrel. After Xuan Che left, Yi Yu quickly took off the dirty black robe on her body and put on the clothes she usually wears, but this is not a bad thing, and it will save Yi Yu. He changed his clothes, so that he can also change the dirty clothes on his body as soon as possible. Xuan Che moved a small wooden barrel over. He was surprised to see Yi Yu appearing in front of him wearing his robe, but soon he calmed down, and then hurriedly poured out of the small wooden barrel, out of a bowl of water and handed it to Yi Yu. After receiving the water, Yi Yu quickly poured half a cup of water into his mouth. He spit out his tongue, and then drank a whole bowl of water. At this time, Xuan Che also fed the pill that he had fed Yi Yu just now. Young Master Yui, how are you feeling now? Xuan Che looked at Yi Yu and asked with a worried expression on his face. My body feels okay, and now I can absorb the toxins in my body. With that said, Yi Yu sat cross-legged on the bed again, and once again mobilized the chakra around his body, and then surged toward his internal organs. Seeing Yi Yu guiding the toxins in his body into his internal organs again, Xuan Che showed a worried expression on his face. While watching Yi Yu's movements, he quickly thought about countermeasures in his mind. The toxin in Yi Yu's body is very overbearing. If you don't want to get rid of it, Yi Yu will most likely die because of it. Yi Yu didn't dare to relax at all. While urging chakra in his body, he worked hard to expel the toxins in his body. Advertisement. Yi Yu concentrated all of his mental power and chakra in his body. He worked hard to use the power in his body to force all the huge toxins back out, and then continued to use the chakra in his body to guide the huge toxin in the body to his body, and then force it out a little bit. This process took more than an hour before Yi Yu finally forced the toxins out of her body. Seeing this scene, Xuan Che's mouth showed a smile. Yi Yu's body was already occupied by toxins a lot of space, but Yui was still able to use her body's strength to force those toxins out. After Yui forced out all the toxins in his body, the whole person felt better. Although he was still very weak, he was much better than before. However, Yui knew that the toxins in his body were not complete. Disappeared because his internal organs are still in a very dangerous state. He must digest these toxins as soon as possible, otherwise, his internal organs will be severely damaged. For a cultivator, it is definitely a fatal blow. Xuan Che stood aside, he looked at the pale Yu, his eyes were full of guilt. He knew that Yu's poisoning this time was entirely due to his own sake. If he hadn't agreed to Sidu Aoshin's terms at the beginning, Yui wouldn't have fallen into such a severe situation, and the Sidu family wouldn't have treated Yuexia like this. Ruthless, therefore, Xuan Che is full of hatred for the Sidu family, and at the same time, he also understands the kindness he owes Sidu Aoshin. Now that he has no chance to repay this kindness, he can only repay Yui in a lifetime. Just when Yu wanted to continue practicing, suddenly, Xuan Che's face changed drastically. "You, the breath in your body has strengthened again," Xuan Che said with a look of surprise. "Yes. Thanks also to Master Xuan Che." Yu was also taken aback for a moment. He didn't expect that he had only rested for a while before breaking through again, which made him also very surprised. "No, your cultivation speed is really too slow. You have to hurry up to cultivate. Otherwise, one day you will be crushed by your own strength and die in your own hands." Xuan Che hurriedly dissuaded that although he also wanted to increase Yu's speed, he was unwilling to see Yu go crazy because of her practice, and he couldn't bear to see Yu lose her own money in order to save herself. Life. Well, since Master Xuan Che said that, then I will practice quickly. Yu looked at Xuan Che and nodded.